Because there's lots of operators that didn't want to be the lead sled dog at their team. And that's okay. No problem. But in order to be that dude, your family doesn't exist, bro.
You know, they like, oh, their hell week is only 3 days long. I said, listen, 95% of the people quit in the first 48 hours. So they got their 95 quitters. They just don't have the 2 extra days.
But if you're a hard worker and a good dude or a good gal, you can write your own check, man. And you know who you're competing against? It ain't like us. It ain't dog eat dog, bro. You just show up, do a good job, and you're a pipe hitter. You're good to go.
Ryan Angle called me into his room. He's an ensign, right? I'm a JG. Not that it mattered, but he was a 97 Naval Academy grad. I was a 95 Naval Academy grad. He called me in his room. He's like, hey, Jake. He said, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I'm like, look, man, I didn't know any of this shit. He's like, you went to the Naval Academy. I was like, I've been on a ship for 2 years. He's like, you didn't know we had a 4-mile time run? He said, how the fuck are you so out of shape? I was like, look, man, like, fuck, bruh. All right, folks, the SWCC video hit kind of hard. My man, Eric, SWCC dude. We chewed up some of the same boats, some of the same water. It's going to be a banger today, folks. We don't got a lot of SWCC guys out here in the community doing a lot of talking, but I thought I would go get you guys some real answers from a real dude that spent a lot of time in a boat, spent most of the GWOT running around. So we're going to get to hear some great stories, kind of get an idea of exactly what SWCC does, what the community's like. Eric, I appreciate it, man. You're in Ireland right now, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I retired to Ireland. My wife's Irish, and we moved back here to spend more time with the grandparents and let the kids spend time with them and help, take care of them as they get older.
How did you meet your wife?
I met her on a Yukon deployment.
Let's go. So a while ago.
Yeah. We've been married 18 years. We've been together for probably 20, 21 years. It did shape a lot of my career.
Let's talk about this, because I talk about divorce is 100% in the SEAL teams, right? SWCC units. What did you do? If you could just think about 2 or 3 things that you did as a husband, because you were in for all of GWOT, right? Like you were in the same time I was in and didn't get out. I want to talk about like what it was like those first probably month or 2 that you checked into your boat unit at Little Creek. And just kind of talk to me about, I know a lot of people are shocked when I talk about the Ranger Indoctrination program for new guys, how they got Fight Club and all the other stuff in the Ranger bat. But what was it like when you first got to SWCC?
So when I firstly checked in, you think you're indestructible, bro. You show up to the team with your K-bar in your mouth, UDT shorts, light coat of COP, and you're ready to go to war immediately. You have no idea the reality of the job. You just graduated, arguably one of the hardest selections around, and now you're at the team and you want to go get it. Back in my day, they still owned your warboat. Actually, we didn't even have a warboat yet, but we had a NEC, so we didn't even have the warboat pin. All we had was your little boat captain coxswain pin and a NEC to lock you into the teams. So like you guys wouldn't get your trident, we wouldn't get our NEC. So you go there and nobody gives 2 shits that you made it out of the schoolhouse, out of selection. Your reputation will follow you because it's a small community, but it buys you no credibility at the team. You go right into a special debt for new guys and you just get worked, and it's just who you are. It's just like the schoolhouse. You just say yes to everything and you're getting beat without oversight. You know what I mean? So 98, hazing, fighting. So people talk about Conex box, PT, and all this stuff. Like if it really got to it and you didn't want to back down, you could fight. You could fight all day. That lasted for years. Like you could fight. It was so ingrained in the culture that when I went to Army Airborne School, it was just normal. So I did my first pump. I'm a new guy at the team. You were establishing yourself not only as a competent operator, but just in the pack. Like, where do you fall out in the pack? Where are you on the bell curve? And before GWOT, a lot of that happened outside of work. So obviously your operator competency happened at work, but kind of your rank, let's say, on that bell curve, if you're one of those dudes or not, happened on Liberty, happened at the bar, happened out on the street, happened.
Yep. So that's awesome, man. That shit give me goosebumps just thinking about.
It happened at kegs at the team. I'm not singing anything that ain't true. Everybody knows it's true.
Yeah.
That was
So like
culture. Cigars, alcohols, keg stands, and bar fights. And that's just, and I'm not, it's better now, for sure. But that's one of the reasons
Well,
I
yeah,
need
hey, listen. You fuck around, get an alcohol-related incident now, you're getting kicked out.
Yeah. I knew dudes
Which
that
is crazy.
rolled cars on Little Creek, on the shore drive, rolled cars. Literally rolled cars right past the front gate, got up, walked down the
Yeah.
plank, had a beer, and you know what I called them the
Yeah.
next day? Master Chief. You know what I called them
Yeah.
yesterday? You know, hey.
So you got there in 98 because I reported in 98 to SEAL Team 8. It's
I
crazy how
think
many
we were
new
there at the same
buildings are there.
time. So you got a big tattoo of a trident?
Yeah, across my back.
Yeah, I was just doing one of our, water polo. People don't know when you say you play water polo in the teams. It's drown proofing and it's just smashing dudes in the water, underwater to see who will give up or drown. That's what it is. It's a fight. And it's fun. It's super fun. I'm not saying it's bad. It's great. I was playing water polo, getting your pull-ups on and everything, getting in the locker room, and you guys would have the training area and that's or whatever. And you just said to me, like, hey, you look good, man. You're doing a good job. Where you at? I was like, well, I'm at the boat teams. You're like, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let these guys get you down. Just a little bit of encouragement for you. And it meant the world to me. It was like rocket fuel. You were the first guy I seen that looked like me in the team. And, just a little bit of you didn't have to say nothing to me, bro. One, you didn't know if I was a new team guy or a boat guy. It just didn't matter. You just saw a guy kind of look like you and gave me a little encouragement, and it was very much appreciated. Yeah, thanks.
Man, that's crazy, bro. Like it's crazy. I was the only black officer on the East Coast for 3 years. And so I can remember there was 3 black dudes at SEAL Team 4, and I would see them. Well, I don't give a fuck what I was doing. I'd run over there, give them motherfuckers hugs and shit, and then, like I saw you in the pool. I don't remember that, but I do remember, like, man, you felt so good when you saw somebody else. Like, I was the only, there was Neil Shaw at SEAL Team 8. He's from the Caribbean. Okay, so I'm on SEAL Team 8. We're doing MAROPS workup, get ready to deploy. And so we're in the little boat basin, and I'm getting out the boat, and one of my dudes like, yo, Jake, there's another black officer. I'm like, what? Right? Like, I knew Pace. I didn't know Birch. He was Naval Academy dude. Pace was Naval Academy dude. But we did a demonstration the year before, and I met both of them. But I didn't remember them. So I'm on the dock, and I get all like, oh, shit, there's a black officer. I should have been alerted by the fact that he had his bars and his name tape on his uniform for MAROPS, right? He was an SQT at the time. But I didn't think nothing of it. I just was excited, right? I was like, oh, shit. I'm a full lieutenant. So they pull in, and he was in the boat still. I'm on the dock. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? That's exactly what I said. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He looked at me. He's like, excuse me? You will address me as Ensign Birch.
Ensign, yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, are you fucking serious? Stand at attention when you address me. Dog. I Terry-tated that motherfucker out of the boat. And so I was underwater, and I was looking him face to face, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to drown this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I was holding him underwater. Like, I could swim like a fish, right? And so I was underwater with him. I was looking right at him. Bubbles coming out his fucking mouth. I was like, I'm drowning this motherfucker. And we came to the surface, and he was crying. He was like, ah! And I'm like, you will address me as Lieutenant Swig, motherfucker. He was like, oh, you're a lieutenant. Why are you acting like this? I was like, motherfucker, you're the only other black officer I've seen in fucking 3 years. And I turned, I let him go. I swam to the pier. My boys pulled me out. Everybody's crying, right? And they're like, God damn, like, Jake, he wants you to call him sir. You better call him sir next time, right? And it was bad. So that's my Jason Birch story. I tell my young guys to make sure that you either send your wife home to where her parents are or have her parents come out every time you leave. Like, what are some things what are 2 or 3 reasons that you think that your marriage survived a career in special operations?
I can tell you, Jake. So I was on active duty for 12 years, went through 2 divorces, met my wife. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same, bro. It's the same.
There it is.
It doesn't, it's not, it's soft, right? It's not even SEAL, SWCC. I don't care. If you,
it don't matter.
Everybody in soft is on a bell curve. If you were one of the operators, because there's lots of operators that didn't want to be the lead sled dog at their team. And that's okay. No problem. But in order to be that dude, your family doesn't exist, bro. It's not a factor. It's not a factor. Or you can't be the guy at your team and have your family. It doesn't happen. So I wanted to be that guy, and it's a selfish job. And once you actually start to think about why does this keep happening to me? And I realized something. I was like, it's unsustainable, bro. You put the team above everything. So as we were getting married, I told my now wife, I said, hey, look, I will take a knee and I'll do some time in training. And then I got approached about the reserves. So I did 12 years active, 12 years in the reserves. What I didn't realize is as a soft operator, as a SWC guy, it did not change my battle rhythm at all. All the jobs during GWOT were for guys like me. So I took a job at the Special Missions Training Unit down in North Carolina, training Navy Riverine guys in the bare bones of the concept of MARSOC and the bare bones of the Coast Guard special tactics teams, right? I'm real fortunate to get to dabble in that stuff. Then I went out contracting, and then my op tempo was the same as the teams with less training travel. So the only thing that saved my marriage was my commitment to the family first. And then once I had that in my back pocket, when I came home from deployments, I went home. I did not do the long training trips. I did not go out with the boys after work. I stayed home with the wife and kids. They were my priority. I still deployed as much or even if not more, but my priorities are different. When you're full-time in the team, everything you do is with the boys. It doesn't matter. Training trip, work trip, you come off the water, you get your gear squared away, you get the boat squared away, you don't go home. Then you're with the boys. That's what it takes to be the lead sled dog. Like it's all the team all the time. So that was the big thing I did. I would just tell guys out there, if you want to make it work, you have to make a choice. And I would tell the guys in the reserves that too with their career. I'm like, do you want to level up? Do you want to deploy? Or do you want to be a fire chief at your civilian job? Or do you want, you know what I mean? Do you want to spend more time at home? That's the leverage you get.
So talk real quick about being in the reserves, because it's funny. A lot of guys go in the reserves think that they're going to be a reserve guy, right? Like they're going to do 2 weekends a month or 2 days a month. But what happens is emergency response fireman, and they're like, shit, we're short a lead coxswain on this team. Lead coxswain got hurt. They're going on deployment next week. Call Eric Sims. Like, we're going to call that motherfucker. Hey, Eric, I need you. You're going on deployment. Because that's what I saw in the reserves, right? The reserve dudes, you can kind of turn it down, but you can't really, because they were forcing orders all through the GWOT, right? Like they'd just be like, hey man, I need another chief, right? I need somebody to do talk watch. I needed, this task unit just lost their chief. Hey, I need you to come on. So yeah. I think the reserves during wartime is one of those kind of like, shit, you basically can go as much as you want.
That's a fact. So you hit the nail on the head there. And the more qualifications you are and the more senior you are, the more in demand you are. So I was all qualled up before I went in the reserves. I wasn't ever going to let anyone have an extra qual on me. I didn't care if it was AFO, technical surveillance operations. Everything, I said yes to everything, and I did my best to knock it out of the park. And I didn't want anyone to have any qualls over me. It's my own little chip on my shoulder, but it is what it is. So when I went to the reserves, back when I went, you interviewed. They just didn't take every team guy in the reserves. It wasn't a dumping ground for guys who didn't want to hack it anymore or maybe had trouble on active duty, whatever. That wasn't the case.
Yep.
So I interviewed, they looked at my resume and they're like, yep, good to go. And then just like you said, hey, we need a free fall jump master. We need OIC. We need a patrol officer. We need a boat captain. We need to get guys qualled. We need guys with the quals to qualify the next guys. So the difference with the reserves is, like I touched on a little bit before, your hand is steadily on the throttle. It's on the throttle more than it is in active duty. On active duty, there's no excuse. You're going. That's all there is to it. And even if you wanted to take a knee and you were injured or anything, you would be labeled a turd and you get one no. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
That's it. It's a one-strike ball club. You get one no,
yep.
This is hurt, I can't do whatever, emergency. They'll take care of you, but you ain't getting asked again. You're on the bench, bro. You benched yourself. In the reserves, you make your minimum requirements and you're the minimum guy. You're on the list of minimum guys. Now, there are levers, and they are used, especially during war, to be like, yeah, no, get off your ass, you're going, dude. You still work for Uncle Sam, but you just have a little more control. But if you're already in SOF, you're already one of those guys. You don't say no. So when they come asking, and just like you said, you can go as much as you want. I could have, if it wasn't for the satisfaction I was getting out of deploying for my civilian job, I would have just stayed deployed in the reserves. I still had that mentality. I still had that drive, the belief in the mission, all of it. Like, I just would have been in the reserves. I just, luckily for me, maybe not as much my family, but I just got a really good job working for national mission units and never looked back. So that's what competed with the reserves. And it also gave me the leverage for my reservists not to be like my head shed, not to be like, oh, this guy's scamming, because they knew who I was working for and what I was doing downrange. And I got to bring some of that back to the team as well. So yeah, all good. But you're right. Guys think if you're at war, I would tell guys the reserves is not a place you're just going to face out and take a knee. If we're at war, plan on the reserve. You're just going home. Your workup is shorter. That's it. Everything else is the same.
Yeah, because I was like, why are you guys getting beat just as much as we are, and you gonna drive boats? Like I used to, like we had. Do you know Chris Wiley?
I do.
Christopher Wiley. Okay, so Christopher Wiley was in my class, right? And he was a boat dude, and I'm like, yo, you're gonna go through this shit twice? He's like, man, listen, I want to be a SEAL. And I was just like, yo, like, no, I'm not doing it. Cause you know, like everybody thinks that, oh, it's easier, right? And I'm like, it's not easier. It's right there. It's like right on it. It's the same sand, the same water. You know, they like, oh, their hell week is only 3 days long. I said, listen, 95% of the people quit in the first 48 hours. So they got their 95 quitters. They just don't have the 2 extra days. I'm like, you guys are all lost. It sucks over there.
I joined the Navy in 95 and I went to the fleet. Okay. I was in boot camp and they showed a video, you know, VHS. There was no internet, all that stuff. VHS of some, you know, it was a team guy video. Hey, be a SEAL. And they showed some guys on a PBL just ripping it down the river and just getting it with heavy webs. And I was like, hey, is there a job for that? Like, I don't want to be a SEAL. If I was going to be any type of shooter, I would have gone Marine infantry. That's just me. I don't know why, but I was like, if I was going to be, because my brother was in the Army, he tried out for Rangers, he was trying to get me to go to the Army, be a Ranger, all this stuff. I was like, no, look at where your bases are, bro. That ain't my lifestyle. I grew up in Michigan on the lake. I need a beach. So that's why I joined the Navy. And then I saw that video and I was like, let me see here. Because I was on the HT track, welder, plumber. Okay. And that was the source rating back in the day. So I saw that video and I asked the recruiters, I was like, hey man, is that a job? And back then I don't think it really was. So they weren't wrong, but you would have to be in the know on developing the new community that really didn't exist. Because that's what happened in my SWCC career. It wasn't all what you see on the videos now. It was built from the ground up. It wasn't like Bud's long tradition, all this stuff. It wasn't a congruent line from the PT boats of World War II with JFK to Vietnam to Medal of Honor to SWCC teams. That's not how it worked. So we built the SWCC teams from the ground up. And right around that time, they were just starting to go through the concepts of what that would look like. So when I asked about that job, they're like, no, those are SEALs. And to this day, most people think the guys on the boats are SEALs anyway. But back then, very definitely like, nope, that's SEALs. So I was like, okay, well, I'll wake up early in the morning and I'll take the PT test, right? And this is, 95, whatever, bro. Nobody knows nothing.
Nobody. So I tell people, I was at the Naval Academy. At the Naval Academy, no one knew about the SEALs, right? We knew, like I had a SEAL in my class. The first SEAL graduated in my class, Jim Galladay. I knew about the SEALs because he got a Bronze Star when we were at prep school for Padilla, right?
Yeah.
But like in my class, there was only 21 dudes qualified for 16 jobs. Now there's 120 dudes qualified for 35 jobs, right? It's like, first of all, nobody at the Naval Academy wanted to do it. Nobody. They were like, nah, I'm good. Like a bunch of dudes wanted to go Marine Corps, but no one wanted to go SEALs, which was crazy to me because the A-team was all I knew, right? Like that was one of the main reasons I joined the military. Everybody wants that shit. Right. But then they get there and get their heads cut off. Like it's the same shit. But back then, like 95, I would say all the way to even right before the war started, like in 01, like there was a lot of mysticism around the SEAL teams, like there just was. Like
I shuffle over there, everybody's all to the dive motivators, whatever. One of those kids ended up being in my SWCC class. But anyway, they thought they were high-speed operators, but they were just scruffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't know no better. They had short shorts and a fancy t-shirt.
Yeah.
They threw me in the pool. I was trash. Like I could swim, but I didn't know nothing about combat size. I didn't know nothing about nothing. They threw me on the pull-up bar, trash. I was just trash, man. There was no Stu Smith. There was none of that stuff. There was no SWCC mentor.
Yep.
People didn't
Yep.
know. It wasn't even a thing. I wasn't even trying out for SWCC. You know what I mean? I was just like, I'll go. I signed up. I'll go. And I
Hey,
quickly realized, I'm like, this ain't for me, bro. And also the thing with like some of the guys, like you mentioned, the Naval Academy, back in the day, before the soft revolution of the internet, I call it, nobody knew about it. So if you wanted to be a commando, all my movies were Vietnam movies, bro. Platoon. If I wanted to do that shit, I would have joined the Marines. Like, that's it.
yeah.
If I want to be a
Yeah.
commando, I would have joined the Marines. Because they didn't even sell it in those movies like Commando and stuff like that. Those guys were like recon or whatever. So that's it, bro. There was no...
You know what held me back from the Marine Corps? I did not like the fact in Hamburger Hill that they were forced to take the hill. I said, why do I got to run into a hail of bullets? Like, why can't I sneak in the day before and kill everybody with a knife? Like, I was like, man, I don't want to take no hills.
So that's it. I didn't want to be a command. I didn't want to be grunt, and I didn't want to be a commando because all I knew about it was those dudes are just patrol the contact, bro. And that wasn't my... I didn't even know what it was back then, but I knew I didn't want no part of it. But there was also, it was cool, and it still draws a lot of people. I wanted to be a sailor. Like, I wanted to be a waterman. I wanted to be on a ship. I wanted to travel the world. And I knew everywhere I go would be a port city. And just in my experience, people are cooler by the water. The further you go inland, the less cool cats are. It just is. I don't know, man. Like, if you drove across Michigan, you started out on Lake Michigan, and you started driving in country, you're like, man, I need to get back to the beach, bro. Just everywhere. So I was like, at least I'll have that lifestyle. You know what I mean? So 95, go through the HT pipeline, end up in Guam, right?
Okay.
So the Navy is working out gangbusters. When I visioned the Navy, I was like, yeah, palm trees, brown people, ocean, blue waters, all this stuff. And it's exactly what I got. I ended up on a subtender, welding.
My God. Okay, hang on. We got to talk about this, Eric. I know your wife is there, but we got to talk about subtender. Okay.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
What was the female to male ratio on your subtender?
I don't know, bro. It doesn't matter. There was a lot. Female birthing was huge. There was a lot of chicks on our boat. And it's crazy. It is crazy.
I had to go to the subtender in the med for my dive physical.
Yeah.
It was 900 women to 300 dudes.
Oh, that's heavy. I think we were still more dudes than chicks, but it was, 50-50. I don't know, man, but it was...
Okay. Because I will tell you right now, when I got there and I was like, oh my God. And the guys were like, yeah, man, I'm living the fucking dream on this ship. And then I was there for 2 days getting my dive physical. Okay, so you're on a subtender, which is like, I was on an oiler, same kind of environment. Just fucking everybody happy as shit. You work hard, you play hard. Okay, cool.
You're in the Navy blue-collar college, bro.
Yep.
You were learning real skills. You're a full-grown adult, but everyone's between like 18 and 30, getting after it, working hard. And this is 95 to 98, so like you could still have a beer in your lap on Guam and drive through the gate. Not a problem. It was a different world, man. So, and we were way out there. You know what I mean? We were so far away from a flagpole. It was fantastic. So I'm stoked. So I just got into hash running, which is just running through the jungle, doing this and that. And one of my boys, we were both on the fire party. Back then, HTs were the firemen, right? Which was cool. And it was it was my first introduction to like a real team environment and real team leadership. Like, we don't really care about all this other stuff. Can you perform your job? This is life and death. Like, how good are you? You know what I mean? It was like this competitive ranking among the team. Like, yeah, you're the best on-scene leader. You're the best crash and salvage guy with real consequences. So it was cool. It's kind of my first little taste of that. So then my best bud, he was one of the first DC men. He was hash running, hooked up with some SEALs on Guam. And they're like, hey, come over to the unit and stuff like that. And I was like, man, bro, I'm going to sleep in, dude. Like, I'm not cool. I saw like we were at boot camp. You know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't interested. And he didn't know what he's getting. No one knew still. This is 95 through 90. Like, this is probably 96 into 97. No one knows shit. So he goes over to Unit 1. I didn't even know it was Unit 1. Full circle, I did my OIC tour as a SWCC operator back at Unit 1. So it was rad. But so he goes over to Unit 1 and they're like, bro, you're in shape, blah, blah, blah. You're cool. They start recruiting him, right? And they're like, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm pretty stoked on being, I like being a firefighter. I like being in the Navy. They're like, well, what about, he didn't want to be on land. You know, he got addicted to the travel. Like, we were going to Australia. We were going to Japan. It was good. It's good living. Like, people shit on
It
the
was
fleet, and it
good.
can be gnarly. It can be bad. But if you're a hard worker and a good dude or a good gal, you can write your own check, man. And you know who you're competing against? It ain't like us. It ain't dog eat dog, bro. You just show up, do a good job, and you're a pipe hitter. You're good to go. And you get to go, there's goodness in the fleet. I didn't ever our
Hey,
instructors would be like, I'll send you back to the fleet. And some days when I was shivering my ass off, cold and sandy, I'd be like, a word? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
okay.
but see, it's interesting. You were on, I call it like the husbandry ships, right? Like I was on an oiler.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome mentality, right? I was on a Kansas City out of Frisco for a midshipman cruise. Awesome environment, right? Soon as you step onto one of them cruise ass ships and they shooting missiles, everybody's asshole gets tight. It's fucking, everybody I know on crew desk said it sucked, right? Like everybody's just dicks. Everybody's trying to get promoted. You know, on an oiler, my oiler, out of the 16 officers, 14 of them had been fired, right? Like the only person that hadn't been fired on my ship was a CO and XO, and I guess the 4 junior officers. So it's just different in that world, man. Like it's like an awesome Navy. Like when you're on, you're HT, you're welding, you were doing a bunch of shit, you were repairing, you're a subtender, you're doing a ton of shit, right? Like,
yeah.
And the other thing is you had women around, right? Like crew des didn't have no women until like 2000. They started getting officers, and so that makes it better, right? Like you're not sitting there with a bunch of dicks all the time,
Yeah, there's good pockets. And I know for a fact, because I do Tiger teams, Carrier has women, but no thank you. Like I would crawl through shit before I went to a carrier, bro. Like, nah, I'm not trying to live in Flint, Michigan afloat. No thanks. So it gets gnarly. I know the fleet gets gnarly, and some guys were scared to death when they got that threat. I had a different experience. But so my boy, he gets taken in, right? And they show him the boats. They're like, well, come here, let me show you these boats. And then he gets talking to a couple like early SWCC guys, like OGs, might have been class like 5 or class 10. You know what I mean? And they're like, here's the job. You know what I mean? So he was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. He's all stoked. And he comes running back to the ship. He's like, hey, bro, you want to do this thing with me? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I don't know what it is. It sounds cool. It sounds like the thing in boot camp. Like, it brought me back to that recruiting video. And I was like, yeah, so we just get to drive really fast, shoot machine guns. And that's the whole job? And he's like, yeah, dude, pretty much. He's like, you get to jump out of planes. And I didn't, I was like, okay. I'm like, this is all rad. And I done.
Hey, you're like, you never even thought about it. You're like, oh, jump out of planes? Fuck, all right, let's go.
Sold. Yeah. So I'd done my 3 years, in the fleet, and I was feeling pretty good. I made, I came in as an E1. I made it to petty officer class. I was doing good.
You made E5? E5 in those 3 years? Okay.
So I made it to PO3, petty officer third class.
Okay. All right. When did you report to SWCC training?
So me and George, shout out George, we started training, right? But we didn't know what to do. He was running his package, and his transfer date for his orders off the ship were like 6 months before mine. The career counselor on the ship told us it's not even a thing. There's no such thing. That's how little people knew about it. It took us nearly a year to run our package, right?
Okay.
The career counselors didn't even know what SWCC was. We were building this community. It was brand new. The orders say buds. Everything. They're like, yeah, you're going to see. I'm like, don't send me to. I didn't know at the time, but it's the same beach. SWCC was on the third deck for third phase. We shared that barracks.
You talking about 618?
Yeah, the old barracks.
You know what's interesting? I was on the second floor, and I always wonder who was upstairs. Because none of us were upstairs. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So when did you get the buzz?
Outside our rooms and all that shit. So in the video that you did at SWCC, you're like, oh yeah, we were right on the beach. I was like, yeah, I was upstairs, bro. Yeah.
When did you get there? When did you get to SEAL training? SWCC training?
Fall 98 or late 97, somewhere in there.
Okay, because I was there. I got there in late 97 too.
Yeah, because I know I got to the team, my first team, the boat unit in 98. I'm really bad with these dates and all that. So
if you got there at the end of the year, we had to be there at the same time, man.
We probably were, bro.
Now, we never saw you guys. I don't understand, like, at Buds, we would never see you. It was really weird, because I thought about that when I was doing the video. I said, man, Like, I knew you guys were there. I didn't know you were upstairs. We would see you every now and then. And then sometimes we would see you getting killed on the beach. But like, we never, like, you guys were never working out anywhere close to us time-wise, right? Like, you guys used all the same stuff, right? Did you use our grinder?
Yeah, it's the same grinder, same old course, same beach. So it's a matter
Yep.
of training areas, blocked training areas, just like anything, right? So
Did you guys have helmets?
we didn't have helmets back then. So
Yep.
we were in the AB Bright 8-point. We were in greens, not camis.
Yep.
You had to earn your
Yep.
camis. We
Yep.
were in greens, AB Brights for all of it, bro. I would have killed to maintain a helmet over a fucking 8-point because the instructors would just crush you immediately. Hey, nice 8-point.
Yeah.
Go fill it up with water and fucking dump it on your head. All that silly shit.
Man, this gonna be a banger, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, because we're gonna talk about training. We were there at the same fucking time during El Nino with the 16-foot fucking waves.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So sorry, I'm in Guam. We're training. No one's heard of SWCC. So me and my boy, we're young. We're young sailors. We're young men. Our egos are huge. So we're partying every night, smoking a pack a day, running to the pool, swimming, running back, lifting, just back buys, chest tries. You know, we don't have. That's what it was, bro. There was none of this athletic human performance, none of all that, none of that. Everybody was either training like a triathlete or training like Arnold. That's it. That's it. Unless you had some really good athletic coaches from your sports background in the civilian world, you weren't getting it in the teams. So anyway, so we're doing that, right? But we're still going out every night because we're young. I was like 21 or whatever, 22. So I could handle it. I'd wake up 6 in the morning, run to the pool, swim 500, come back, work, hit the weight room, get my little 6-8 pull-ups, whatever you need to pass the screening test, because you don't know about it. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that bare minimum will get you kicked out day one. You have no idea. And that training ain't gonna...
Eric, I didn't know there was 3 phases.
Yeah.
I showed up. I just knew it was fucking hard. I showed up. I said, I'm going to show up out of shape, see how hard this motherfucker really is. Like that, like now I'm like, I would fight somebody. One of my kids tells me, hey, I'm going to go out of shape. I will fight him, right?
Yeah,
I'd be like, no,
sure.
bro, listen, we can't play those games, right? Now, it's evolved massively in the 30 years, but go ahead.
Yeah, so that's our training pipeline. That's what we're doing, you know. So he gets orders and he goes, right? And back in the day, I was already tatted up. I came tatted up. This isn't new NSW Inc.
Yep.
So nobody had tats back then. Even in the fleet, like the rules would change. Nobody had tats.
So let me say this.
And gangsters.
I feel like the enginemen, the guys working in the engine room, and the whole technicians and the machinist mates had sleeves. The deck apes, so I was in first division, some of them had tattoos, but not full sleeves, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you were in the right rate to just get tatted up. And then I mean, like, I tell everybody, the tattoo man on deployment is the guy that makes all the money.
Yeah. Yep. I had a school out in Philly. It's where the firefighting school was, the welding school, all that stuff. So on Liberty, bro, I was out getting inked up because that was the culture. They were sending guys back from the fleet so they could get qualled. And those guys were, like you said, if you were below decks, bro, the dirtiest, gnarliest dudes, they had that ink. But they were the only ones. You hit it. You hit it spot on. So anyway, that was our cool training pipeline. My boy George goes off. And back then, you had to write a letter to someone. And I credit to him to this day. You got mail? Mail call. I never got mail from nobody. Nobody's writing my ass. I didn't write nobody else, so we're good to go. I got this letter, and you could tell it was wet. The ink had, the ink had run. And it was from my boy George. I opened the letter. There was sand in the envelope. The ink had run. It was a wet letter. You know what I mean? And he said, bro, stop everything you're doing right now. He said, he didn't even say, hi, how's it going? The letter is, bro, stop everything you're doing right now. Stop lifting. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. He's like, I got rolled. And he was stronger than me, bro. He was a farm rock climbing boy from Kentucky. Like, he could crank out 15 pull-ups on demand, no problem. He wasn't as strong as me in the water, but if he was having this problem, I was taking that advice. I just didn't want to fail. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing about it, but I'm not going to fail. So George sends me a letter, says, stop doing all that shit. He's like, go to the beach and run, do flutter kicks, do push-ups, do sit-ups, and do pull-ups. Swim your ass off. He's like, get in the ocean, he broke it down to me. So I did. That's what I did. I got my times up. I got everything up. He got rolled. He got because he was a good dude, so he got a performance roll into the next class. So he graduated class 2.5. I went and classed up class 2.6 in 98. No, sorry, like late 97, early 98, whenever it was.
So let's talk about this real quick, because I don't think people understand. Working out was not part of your job title in the Navy, correct?
Facts.
Did you ever have, so I tell people, I was on the ship for 2 years. We never had PT. Not one fucking time was there ever a physical conditioning period of time on the ship, ever.
So we had PT, but mostly it was individual. Like you get to PT from 3 times a week. What was it? Like 7 to 9. You had to be report for duty.
Nah, we ain't never had that. We ain't never had that. Not
3
one
times
fucking
a week,
time.
maybe. But
nah, we ain't never had PT.
In damage control, the fire squad, the firemen of the ship, if you will.
Yep.
We did group PT, and there was a PT culture.
Okay, that's good.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like they expected you were the guy that carried someone up a ladder. And for people that ain't been on a ship, I ain't talking about a ladder. A narrow steel eat you up as wide as your shoulders can get in there, up through a metal hole in the ground that has a knife edge, and get a body out of there. You're not just doing that. So I was lucky, man. I had great leadership. PT was part of the culture. Now, like I said, nobody was a high-performing athlete. There was no mentorship on and no one knew what to expect anyway, so you didn't know what you were training for, bro. You didn't know. So that letter from George is gold, pure gold. So I just did what he told me. Got my cardio up and all that, and my pull-ups up, all that stuff. Because otherwise it's back buys, chest tries, say buys for the weekend. You know what I mean? Get that pump before you go out, and that's it. That's it. So I got my PT right as I thought I could get it based on his letter. Went out to a switch school and still got smashed because the divers were sending a lot of guys because they were more sprinkled around the fleet. You'd run into a diver before you ran into a SEAL. You definitely wouldn't run into a SWCC. Even now, I think there's only about 700 SWCC on active duty globally, and that's including DAMNEC. So they're just not, we're small. I think we could be the smallest off community out there. We're small. We're tiny. There might be a few special.
I'm going to tell you this. The active duty PJs only got 189 of them.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. And those guys are
so like the Air Force got some time. Like now, I'll just say this: their reserve and National Guard squadrons are bigger than the active duty, right? But active duty, they only got 189 dudes.
Yeah, there you go. But for as big forces we are, as for how many SEALs there are, we're a small fraction. Anyway, I get out there and divers are sending guys to SWCC like, yeah, dude, no problem. They have no idea. Nobody knows. Nobody's going like, oh, this is hard. You know about SEAL training? It's like that because most people don't know about that either. This is the dark ages of information for NSW.
Hang on, bro. I didn't know there was a 4-mile timed run. Ryan Angle called me into his room. He's an ensign, right? I'm a JG. Not that it mattered, but he was a 97 Naval Academy grad. I was a 95 Naval Academy grad. He called me in his room. He's like, hey, Jake. He said, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I'm like, look, man, I didn't know any of this shit. He's like, you went to the Naval Academy. I was like, I've been on a ship for 2 years. He's like, you didn't know we had a 4-mile time run? He said, how the fuck are you so out of shape? I was like, look, man, like, fuck, bruh. I had got wrestled for the All-Navy wrestling team like 5 months earlier. I was in world-class condition, but my ship wouldn't let me go to Budsden. So long story short, he handed me the PDF that I give out to people. He handed it to me. He said, listen, you need to run every fucking night. You so out of shape. Like, we got to get you in shape, Jake. You're fucking awesome, dude. But you ain't going to make it. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. So I started running. We getting killed in PTRR. Me and Clint Bruce. Clint had just came from the NFL. We're riding a bike for 45 minutes after training. Then I would come back to my room. I would lay down for 1 hour. And then I would go for a speed run or an endurance run. I was running anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes at the very end of training. The only thing I did wrong, I ran in the sand. I should have ran, all the way down IB on the road because I would have got faster that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, 97, 98, bro, there was it wasn't even mysticism. It was just some place that you went and disappeared to. No one knew shit about it.
100%. And no one ever goes back. I didn't. I mean, I'm in touch with some of the boys now, but once you graduate and you go to a team, your life is over. There's no calling your boy in the fleet. There was no cell phones, bro. You know what I mean?
Like, nothing. Yeah. Email wasn't even rolling.
No, you disappeared. You're 100% right. You go to NSW, you disappear, bro, unless you get rolled. Even if you get booted, you're gone. You're off somewhere else. Like, you just disappear back in the day. There was no one knew where you were. No one knew where you were. There was no comms, no personal comms. So,
Yeah.
payphones. Payphones is how you did it. Remember, you used to get a little phone card so you could call someone
Yeah,
on a
and you had a
payphone,
book.
bro.
Like I got my little
Yeah,
address
yeah,
book that my mom gave me when I left the house. Like you had the little piece of
yeah,
paper, you had the FPO address for whoever was on the
yeah.
ship. You know, that you're one transfer away. I remember the big thing was always have their parents' phone number in there. So you could call their parents and be like, hey, where's he at? What's his phone number? Or what's his
Yeah.
address, you know?
And
So
that was high
all right.
speed. Most of us didn't
Yeah.
have that. We were just like, I remember 3 numbers. That's my contact list. I get to SWCC training, and lo and behold, it is right up my alley, bro. I had no idea. I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing? Let's go. I don't know why, because I played hockey. I skipped a lot of wrestling practice. I can't say I wrestled. I played football, but I quit football for hockey. I wasn't super competitive. Big into skateboarding, like I was competitive there, but I didn't have a lot of team sport, whatever, but I was just like, skateboarding gave me the grit, and just kind of where I was raised gave me the grit. You know what I mean? Like,
So you know surfers are number 3 on the list.
yeah,
Water polo are wrestlers, water polo players, and then surfers. And I
nice.
believe skateboarders, because like Diamond is a skateboarder. I had 3 or 4 skateboarders in my class.
I just grew up on Lake Michigan, so cold water, check. Big water, no horizon line, check. I wasn't going to be scared of the water. Like, I just lived in the water. I didn't care if it was, that didn't bother me, salt, all that, cold. And then, being 101 in my class, I also had a little chip on my shoulder. So I was like, send it, boys. You think you can outswim me or whatever? I'm game. So something just clicked in me when I got to Coronado. I was like, oh, yeah, let's get it. And it was just fun. It was fun. Like, all of it was fun because I would just watch people's eyes fade, bro. Them big shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
dude, when
You
you
were like,
talk about decon, hey, bro, come on, let's go. I really did have that. You want to be in decon all day? My roommate, my swim buddy, he was worse, dude. He would go out of his way to catch a beating. Like, if we were running across the grinder, you got to be together. You got to be able to touch your swim buddy, bro. And everyone's
Yep.
doing the shuffle, the bud shuffle. So we're running across the grinder, and shout out Ray, if Ray saw an instructor, instructor's way, he didn't care. He would just sprint to get some, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, you're killing me, bro. I ain't trying to do extra. I like what we're doing, but I ain't trying. And he would just always do that. And the instructors were cool. If you're a good dude, a young guy I'm helping out with a little bit of mentorship and physical training, he was asking me about the relationships and talking about being coachable. And I was like, if you're a good dude, you will have a different relationship than if you have an attitude with authority.
Yeah, if you have attitude, you ain't gonna make it.
So if your instructors are like, hey man, I want to be on a boat crew with this guy one day, he's good to go, you might be able to, get away with a little more smack talk, or you're going to pay. You're not going to get no free lunch. They're still going to throw your fins in the drink, from the beach when you're supposed to be getting hydrated, all that, all the little games. But they're not going to go out of the way to try to get rid of you. They're going to go out of the way to be like, hey, you've been caught twice for dipping. I was a big dipper. Lived in, redneck from Michigan.
Yeah, with a fatty in and shit.
You're not supposed to dip. You know what I mean? And all the instructors.
But you had came out the fleet. Like, let's be honest, you were in the fleet. You had a fucking dip in all the time, bro.
I was smoking and dipping in the fleet, bro.
Yeah.
Dip was just when I couldn't get to the smoke deck because I was working. And all the instructors, we had bow guys from 22, Mississippi, Riverine, dude. You know what I mean? Instructors from all the teams. Those guys all dipped. So I'd have my little dip. I got busted once, and they're like, that's strike one. We just can't have it. You know what I mean? It's a policy. You can't. That's part of the game. Then we were out on a boat, and people would be trying to sneak dips. So we're on a boat, and we were hitting, different navigation points for stalking ships, for takedowns and all this stuff, doing our vectoring. And they're like, Sims, come up here. And I'm in the back of the boat. So I got I'm sneaking my dip. Come up here. And since I spent so much time in the fleet, being an adult who can dip, I didn't, I just went up there, you know what I mean? And they're like, is that a dip in your mouth again? Got beat again. And then they're like, I had to go see the man at the schoolhouse. He's like, one more, dude, and you're gone. Like, you were just not. And then the instructors would come down to, like, the students have a hooch. I don't know if you guys do. I assume you do. Where you kind of, it's off. It's kind of off limits. What happens in the hooch stays in the hooch. It's not for instructors
Yeah.
to beat
So
you down.
we have the cages right by the showers by the grinder. We did. Now it's all different. But there was 3 cages for each phase, and then there was some bleachers that we would sit outside the grinder, and the instructors would never come over there. They would, unless
so
they needed us.
We had a little hooch right outside the schoolhouse where they'd put out the times, and we get our next day, you know, the brief, all that shit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of off limits. And instructors would come down there and be like, "Hey, Sims, you got a dip?" And I was like, "Ah, man, I don't." They're like, "Give me a dip." You know, and when the instructors give you that little character test, you always think you're being tested. You know what I mean? And they're like, "Sims, I'm going to beat you harder if I really just want a dip." So, like, me and my instructors have a picture of us getting a dip when I was a student, and we send it to the schoolhouse LPO and shit like that, you know. Just team guys fucking around. So, we'd go back and forth, and then we were doing our land nav up in Laguna. Do you guys do your up there?
Yeah, same place.
Yeah. So we're up in Laguna doing our land nav, and they're teaching, you know, break down the MRE and all this stuff, right? So I'm like, I can't go that long without a dip. So I sneak dip in my MRE pouch. And I all broke down. So my
that's a solid, bro. Like, listen, I tell people, man, like, if you a big dipper and you can get a little, you know, you put a little Ziploc baggie with some dip in your MRE, and like day 4 of getting your balls kicked in, you got a dip. That shit mentally, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it'll save you. Unless your instructor is like, "Hey, Sims, I want to see your MRE so we can demo how you broke it down." And the whole class knew. They started to surround me, which is also a sign you're doing well in training. When your classmates want to protect you, you're doing something right. And he stopped everything. He's like, "Everybody all stop. If one person gets one step close to Sims, you're all going to pay." So he had me dead to rights, and he got it. Back then it was the 77. You remember that radio?
Yeah, Prick 77, the big ass 25-pound fucking thing.
Bro. Yeah. So he gets the radio. We're taking turns carrying it, you know what I mean? He gets raised like, "Hey man, guess who I caught with a dip?" And the head instructor is like, "Please tell me it's Sims." And I was just like, this is, you know, open mic, everybody can hear. He's like, "Yep." He's like, "Send them back." So they sent me back, and he's like, "Guess who's carrying the radio now? From now till there's no more training." I was like, "Who ya?" He's like, "You are going to do everything we say to do, or you are out of here." He's like, "We bent over backwards to help you out, and you are still..." You know, I was wrong. I was dead to rights. And you can't stretch the good graces of the instructors so far. You just can't. So Eric, I understand where they were.
Let's talk about this real quick. So a lot of people are going to say, I got a video of an Army Ranger kid got kicked out of training for gum, right? Chewing gum on watch. Now that you got all this fucking dirt and fucking water under your bow, right? Let's talk about, do you look at that completely different now that you were a fucking dog in the community for a long time? Because it's funny, because someone asked me about room inspections. You heard what I was talking about, room inspections. I was just kind of like, room inspections didn't affect me, right?
Yeah.
But something like, I got a vice, like dip. Now, how do you feel about it now, knowing that there's a whole bunch of shit like that out in the real world that'll get you killed?
Here's how I feel about it, you know, knowing what I know now. Room inspections, gum, dip, porn, everything besides drugs, illegal substances. Illegal substances? Yeah, bro, you're done. No one's going to die because I had a dip. No one's going to die. Though in the schoolhouse, those are tools. All those rules, room inspections, those are tools to get rid of turds. If you get kicked out of the schoolhouse, out of any selection training because and I don't know nothing about the Ranger dude, it's an example. He might be the best dude, and there might be all kinds of circumstances I don't know about it. But if you get kicked out for gum, you got kicked out because they didn't want you around, bro. And I'm not saying that's a you problem. It could have been a dumb problem. I don't know. You don't get kicked out for that stuff. If you are dumb and young like me, and you keep pushing it, because I'm a habitual line stepper, bro. I always have been. So that's the kind of guys that end up in soft anyway, you know.
You better than me, bruh, because I'm a continual fucking, the line don't even exist, and I don't even stepper. I fucking, the line back there like 5 fucking miles. I didn't cut my hair for 2 years at the Naval Academy. I got 2 years. I was trying to go all 4 years not cutting my hair. I made it 2 full years. I got my hair in a bag. I'm going to make I'm gonna make a shadow box out of it. My dude just told me what to do. A fucking
Nice.
awesome idea. I'm gonna make a shadow box out of it, and I'm gonna have my real hair in the shadow box.
Nice. Yeah, so you know the deal. Those are all tools, right? Those are tools to get rid of people you don't want in your community. You look at a dude for whatever reason, right or wrong, and you say, because what people also don't understand is you're not an instructor for life. You got to come back to the teams, bro. And I've had guys come back to the teams and be like, sorry. And I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. That was your personality back then. Someone had to be the enforcer. Someone had to be the, oh, you see him you remember the little gas station there on,
Yeah,
Coronado?
yeah.
If you see a certain instructor's car getting gas, you will scramble like roaches with the lights on, bro. You will get the fuck, because that's that dude. Not, and some instructors are the cool dudes. They get to be cool. You know what I mean? They're cooler dudes. So those instructors are deciding who their teammates are going to be. And if you're a guy and they're like, dude, if I was on a boat for 10 seconds with this guy, I'd drown him. He's going to get caught and he's going to get kicked out for gum, room inspection. Your room could be, you just got in Sunday night at midnight and you tried to make your bed and you passed out and you woke up to room inspection. You're just going to pay the man. You're not going to get kicked out. But if you're a guy they don't want in the community, oh, that's strike three, bro. Just DRB. We're going to review. You're going to the fleet. And that guy could be a stud. So a lot of what I hear in the space for soft is like, oh, it's mental, it's not physical. Well, it is physical, 100%. Your mental will override your physical to a point, and that's what the selection is for. But you can't, you're a rare case, bro, to be out of shape. You know what I mean? You made it harder on yourself.
Now,
If you go out
listen.
there out of shape, and you went through a peacetime environment, so, and I'm telling guys now, it is going to get harder and harder and harder. So back to your point, gum, room inspections, dip, those are all going to be tools. The community is not exploding and growing. We are in a retraction from GWOT. Everything's unmanned. Everything is SR. Everything is AFO. Sorry for the acronym, Sue, but look, we're going to do this. There's not enough billets, like you said, 130, whatever it is. Where are they going, dude? We don't have the employment rate. And even if World War III kicks off with Iran, near peer warfare is not GWOT, it's not asymmetric. The U.S. isn't going to do this big asymmetric campaign like we did for GWOT. It ain't. Everybody turns into Votel said it the best when I had the pleasure of working with him and his organization. The rangification is off. That's what happened in GWOT. Everyone got body armor. Everyone became a door kicker. Cool. That's over, dude. Everybody let that go. That is over. Tier 1 units are still going to do their job, but the rest of us, so theater soft, people who work in theater special operations, people want to say vanilla, all that. That's not what it is. It ain't dark and vanilla. There's theater soft. That's why you go to a TSOC, a theater special operations command. That's what all the teams are, theater special operations forces. And there's national soft, national mission, your tier 1 guys. Those guys are still going to do what they do, but not at the same pace. They're not going to be doing these big, long deployments, 6-monthers, 4-monthers, rotating in and out of countries. It's all going to retract. So if you're going through selection now, and in the future, even if Iran pops off, Taiwan, whatever pops off, that's near peer warfare. It isn't going to be soft heavy.
And here's the deal. I'm going to say this, okay? I got the teams are full of my guys. And I pick the phone up, hey, man, what is the answer for drones, right? We're going to find out the answer for drones in the next conflict. I said, what? They're like, yeah. So, I mean, you think about it. We're driving trucks in Iraq to the target, to the X, right? Now, you're getting hit with drones as soon as you leave the base, right? Or even better yet, you're getting hit with drones inside your hooch. Because we could look at Russia and Ukraine. That's exactly what they're doing, right? I just read a big article. Iran has went back to making all their drones again. They got their facilities back up there fucking pumping out drones now. And it's like, let's just say a $10,000 drone can defeat, 16 dudes times $3 million worth of training. So let's just say $50 million worth of training can get defeated by a $10,000 drone.
So this drone thing kicked off big time with ISIS. So this is an old problem way before Ukraine. I happen to be in an organization who they said, tag, you're it. You guys are now going to be our drone experts, because we had a little bit of forward real world experiences with it, and how are we going to defeat it. So my organization and the guys I know started it with the counter drone warfare. It's been going on
Gotcha.
forever. What
Yeah.
Ukraine has done is perfected it, right? So ISIS, Al-Shabaab, not really Al-Qaeda, some in certain theaters, they were doing the drone off the cops thing, and they were hitting people in their hooches. One of my intel guys almost died, got dropped right in his hooch in Somalia. Like, they were doing that for a long time. They hadn't perfected it though, because they could have wiped us off the map in those forward small footprint bases, no problem.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the TTPs, and they weren't in bed with the right manufacturers, i.e.
Gotcha.
Iran, other folks, right?
Gotcha.
So we were trying to come up with, technical solutions to it. It's hard to beat, man. It is a tough problem set. And what America doesn't do well is go to short-term contracting solutions that are cheap for the now. So if I come up with a cool whiz-bang way to defeat a drone, I'm going to want a military contract for a decade. Even if that technology works today and doesn't work in a week, now you're locked in. So you know the deal. The same with CQD. If shit don't work and you're locked into a contract, you're doing it.
And it's a 7-year acquisition cycle, right?
Yeah.
They're working on fixing that shit right now.
Yeah.
But you think about something like a drone. 7 years from now, fuck, bro. Like what? Like anything 7 years from now. Fucking tank.
Yeah, no, it's done.
You think about this. This is the craziest shit in the world. F-22 and F-35 were developed in the early 90s. Yeah, it's 2000, right? Like, and now we got a drone that's $10,000 that can take out both of them, right? Like, but to your point, it's interesting when you talk about the drone warfare and all of the crazy shit, because I'm over here. I was on a walk a week ago, and I was like, doo-doo-doo. And I looked up, and there was one of them little ass drones that the realtors are using.
Yeah.
And it was right above the trees, and it was circling a house shooting a video, right? And I could not hear it. And I was like, fuck you. If it's at nighttime, you're never even going to see the fucking thing, right? Like you got 3 seconds of warning when that high pitch, and now they're using the toroidal propellers. They're basically almost silent, right? And I think from a special operations perspective, okay, how do you stop that, right? Well, you're fucked, right? Like you're fucked. Like, especially in our job where you're trying to work at night in the rain, and you're like, like you have no warning, none. And if it's on fiber optic, now the microwave jammers, all the other good shit that we're making, but like none of that shit is feasible for soft. So like you're saying, we go to war with China, there's going to be a lot of fucking peer-to-peer fucking losses, right? Like you're in a helicopter, you may not make it to the X.
Yeah, and that type of, so as old theater dudes, as old theater special operation, there is a big part of us that has better training to deal with near peer, because we were training for near peer, bro. I remember doing full mission profiles to go against Iranian small bore swarm techniques and bog hammers. Like we were training to fight those guys gun for gun.
Yep.
In technically what would they have to do in the Strait of Hormuz to get a small boat attack off? Literally what we were doing. The same thing. We were doing helocasting, OTB to set up human RNS platforms.
Yep.
So recon, surveillance, sending it back, all this stuff. You're going to have to get back to that small, non-kinetic, non-door kicker skill set. Maritime base, because the maritime buys you space. So you talk about operating rain, saltwater, all those things are bad for drones, right? So there's opportunity for us, but there's also, guys got to understand, the rangification is soft, everyone being a door kicker. That's a different war's TTP. This near-peer threat and great power competition is a TTP where we're back to our old ways. Eyes and ears in places no one else can get. AFO, TSO, all that kind of stuff. Everybody who's joined in soft now who just wants, because there's this been, and I'm not glorification. I'm a little conflicted on the shine everyone gets for, they deserve it. Tell the stories. GWOT stories should be told. I know more female grunts that have kicked more doors than spec ops guys, unless you're a tier 1 operator. Just fact.
Hey, dude.
In the daylight, bro. Without
most decorated dude I know. Shout out to Tyrone in my wife's family. 3 combat deployments as a fucking National Guard infantryman. And his motto was, I'm always the first dude in the door because the second dude always gets killed. He was the E6 kicking doors in for a whole year on his last deployment. like all over Iraq, right?
But I
And
think
so
because of how successful you are and all the other guys are, a lot of people are joining soft and then they are not satisfied with the job. People have come out and said it. Like, oh, I
they
joined the
getting out.
SEALs to be a door kicker. And if I'm not kicking doors, I'm going to get out and, or I'm going to try to go to the agency. I'm going to go do something. And look, if you're going to go soft, this is what I learned from peacetime, being a peacetime theater soft operator. If you're going to go soft, do it for the love of the job that you have. Conus. You never know what's going to happen overseas. So you remember Commander Tire, Captain Tire now? Okay, so he came, the GWOT kicked off, and all of us are I'm sitting in UCOM. And we're like, why isn't everyone on a SOCR running up the Euphrates and Tigris just laying hate? We all want to do it, but only one team's doing it. Put us on boats. And eventually they would augment guys, and guys would get to do that work. And everyone was mad if they weren't downrange, getting in gunfights. Tyre came into the office and he said, look, before anyone says anything about deploying, he's like, you want to go? I will sign your blue to green right now. You can go to 101st Airborne. You're already overqualified, and you can be in Iraq tomorrow kicking in doors. But remember, when you come home for that year, you'll be at Fort Benning, left, right, left. Or you stay the course, you get in a gunfight or you don't, but when you come home, you're running and gunning in high-speed boats and jumping on airplanes. You choose. And it shut everyone up real quick. And that's a perspective I don't think guys are getting. Bro, I don't care how many deployments you do, you are home. And when I say home, you are CONUS more than you are downrange. So that's the job you're auditioning for. The training, the workup, the skill gathering, the long nights. It ain't kicking doors, dude. That's not the job. That's a small part.
I got 3 dudes getting out right now that got in 18, right? So they got 8 years. And I told them, and they get pissy about it. And I said, hey, like the one dude I had with me in a certain place, right? I'm not going to talk about it because it's too identifiable. But I just said, hey, man, I said, do you remember this conversation we had at my desk? He's like, I do. And I said, what did I tell you? You said basically that there's no chance that I'm going to shoot bullets in conflict. And I need to be good with the job. Like the job is the job. And if you get war, okay, in our line of work, if you get war, you're lucky, right? Like as a peacetime SEAL, I came in 97. I got out in May of 01. For that time period at my SEAL platoon, there was like 32 dudes that had actually shot bullets in conflict, all of them in Bosnia and Herzegovina, right? Yeah. And so you looked at it and you're like, okay, and we had a couple damn neck dudes. Obviously, they chewed it up. But like even Damneck wasn't doing missions every fucking week, right? They 1 or 2 missions a month. I mean, a year, basically, right? Like just depending, right? And so it's hard now because you have a generation of young men. We grew up on the A-Team, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, all these Vietnam movies, but we didn't grow up with Vietnam, right? Like we were born in the 70s. There was no war all the way through the 80s. So I went in the military on this Top Gun / movie ideal. This generation literally grew up with war. And so their motivation was, Michael Mansour or, Roberts Ridge or what, like whoever their guy was, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to do the Osama bin Laden raid, right? Like I'm going to be a Navy SEAL so I can be 0 Dark 30 guy. And the problem is we literally just had the longest armed conflict in the history of America. And so it's hard. I think it's hard, right? Like I got out. One of the reasons I got out the teams was I was like, look, man, I'm tired of burying dudes in training, right? Like Chad Burkhart got buried in training. And I'm like, yo, like, what are we doing? Now that changed really quickly, but it's hard for this generation. It's really hard, Eric, for them to, it's a hard job, man. It's not like the glamorous part of it. Like I tell everybody, the most glamorous shit in the world is walking into the PX with your uniform on, right? Like my most glamorous thing ever was landing on an aircraft carrier to brief Admiral Fallon in a flight suit, purple Chuck Taylors, and a caving helmet. Like that's about as good as it's gonna get. Yeah. And to do that, I just laid in the swamp of North Carolina and got my face eaten off by mosquitoes for 3 days, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was the least damaged dude, and they're like, go brief the admiral on the fucking carrier, right? But, like, you've worked it, man. Like, you try to tell people, I'm like, look, man, 18-hour days is the minimum. Like 18-hour days. You in the field, you in training, 18-hour days. 8 a.m. to fucking 6, 8 a.m. to roughly 2, 3 in the morning with a break in the middle so that it can get dark.
But that's working up to a 72, 76, 48-hour FMP. Your 18-hour day is just working towards you doing that one big long push to get your C1. Go make sure you learned what you needed to learn in your workup. It's going to end, like you said, North Carolina, when you're in the field, I mean, get off the boat just got hit. You are on E&R, but you're a 7-man patrol now. You're not a pilot. You're not a rabbit. You're an NSW operator. You're on patrol on E&R. We told everybody on this Marine Corps base, you're going to be here and they're looking for you. And they got our number and they got base police number. Don't get caught. And we'll be out there looking for ambushes. And the cadres out there, the whole base is looking for you. You get dumped in the night and you are on E&R for Darsart compromise. Go to the next. 3 days straight. And then you come out and you made it. And then you get to go deploy. Or, in that deployment might be to Japan, might be to Germany, might be to Spain. It could be anywhere. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get to do stuff. And even Damnet back in the day. So I was in Navy 95, SWCC 98 to 2007, then went reserves from 2007, 2019. So yeah, there was war all the time, but there was still people that didn't get to go. I didn't go to combat. I didn't go to combat as a SWCC. Well, I didn't go get in gunfights on a boat like a lot of my peers were doing. I was going to KMB to be comms on half baths. I was in a helo with the sniper Overwatch. Guys were going to augment other agencies as JTACs. Guys were going to augment ODAs. Some guys were going back to Germany. I did a lot of my time in Germany. And when I went out and got out as a contractor, then every single deployment was to a combat zone. But it's so important that people realize the tryout is for the job. It ain't for the war. And, we were lucky. We got to grow up with putting on your buddy's uncle's cami boots and running around the woods and pretending you were in Vietnam. And then when you got to the teams, all your training was Vietnam style. Center peels, bounding, ambushes, all that stuff. It was all, we were doing waterborne guard posts, camming up the boats, waiting to do an ambush, direct action. All Vietnam stuff. And then GWOT was not Vietnam, bro. So we had a lot of shit to learn. And in that learning, we got so far away from our medals that now you got MARSOC dudes, you got Army 3rd Group beating NSW at diving, you got Marines they got their own ribs, they got their own Mark 6, they got their own boats. Like, the bread and butter is what is going to support the fleet. We were support tools for the fleet back before GWOT.
Yeah.
We now have to get back to being support tools for near-peer competition, which is what we are. They're getting back there. I'm not saying that the community is blind to this and I'm laying down some shit they don't already know. They know it. What I'm telling dudes who might be listening on YouTube is you got to try out for the job. Like, the reason I went SWCC, so, Jake, you're like, hey, bro, you're doing nearly the same shit except for the dive stuff. You got a pretty good chance of being a SEAL, whatever. Why didn't you just go SEAL? Why do guys go SWCC? I mean, most of the guys I knew that went SWCC want to be pirates, dude. They're in love with,
pirates, absolutely.
They're in love with the job.
That's the mantra.
They're in love with the job. If you want to be a waterman, if you want to drive fast boats, if you want to test yourself on the water. So, back in the day, you'll know this phrase, real world. That was the catchphrase for everybody who wanted to, see who got bigger nuts. Like, oh yeah, have you done a real world, bro? There was like one real world op every 5 years, and damn, that did it. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But everybody had their little version. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to do this little thing. It was real world. And I was like, bro, if you get out there and the sea state goes from 4 to 6 to 12 to 15, Guess what just happened? You in real world, son. You are in real world.
Let me ask this question, Eric, and then I want to talk about just kind of a little bit about your career. Did you lose anybody in those first like 3 years in SWCC? Did you have anybody die?
So most we did, and like you said, it was all the deaths were training or suicide. It just is a thing. So the NFL finally came to its reckoning about CTE and concussion. It don't stop people from wanting to be in the NFL, bro. You just need the information so you can help mitigate it.
Yeah.
Same with SWCC, both teams. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So growing up in a boat, I knew the fucking concussion problems, right?
Right.
Now I did not equate it to CTE, but I knew like riding in a fucking rib for any length of time was a fucking banger on your head, right? And I remember I was in when they went from the captain seats to the hip things, right? Like when I first got there, and I was like, ooh, this makes all the sense in the world. It's a lot better standing up with a little bit of support than it is sitting down riding in a boat, right? Like I grew up riding in a boat sitting down. It was fucking tough, right? Puget Sound, running 30 knots, right? Running across the Puget Sound in my 21-foot bellboy or my little aluminum boat, but I had to sit down in there. And so it's interesting that you say you guys were dealing with suicide back then. I don't want to say we weren't, because our suicide was a little different. Like we would see somebody did 20, 25 years in the teams, they'd get out, they'd aspirate on their own vomit, right? They drink themselves into oblivion. And so I guess now that you say it that way, we were seeing it too. Not to the extent we're seeing it now, but we were seeing it. So
we were in the dark. As much as you and I were in the dark about NSW before we went to selection.
Yep.
The community as a whole, and I don't think people realize this, everything in the boat teams used to a large extent still does, comes from the SEAL teams. Your training officer is a SEAL, your EXO's a SEAL, everything you learn, all your TTPs, everything comes from the SEAL teams. Same with your behavior, same with your language, same with your culture. Now, when these training deaths are training deaths, that's the job, man. It's a dangerous job. That's why real world, it's real world every day you show up to work. You're going to be slinging lead. You're going to be cleaning. You could lose a finger cleaning a 50, bro. It's 240. It's all metal. It doesn't care about you, has no feelings. The ocean sure as fuck does not care about you and has any feelings. So training deaths you can live with. You learn from it. It's sad. And that's the only way you learn. Because otherwise you're good to go. It's sad.
Yep. So
we're getting better.
My dude,
everyone's getting better.
Chad Burkhart, right? Back then, I remember this like it was fucking yesterday, bro. I get to the SEAL teams. I'm riding in the helicopter. Everybody's got their feet. They're sitting in the 60 with their feet out the helicopter with no lanyard. And I'm like, I remember I got off that flight and I don't remember what fuck we were doing. I think we went to Fentress to jump, right? And so I got off that flight. I went right to supply. I got me a new SID harness. And then I went right to the parachute loft and I got on the bar tack machine and I made me a lanyard, right? And I had a SID harness belt that I could put on and I just had a little clip-in lanyard. And then I was like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm not riding a helicopter with my fucking feet hanging out with no fucking rope, like nothing. They just be I was like, and then Chad falls out of the helicopter 6-7 months later, right? And I was just like, some of the shit I felt like some of the stuff was doing the job and some of the stuff was the teams will let you kill yourself, right?
100%.
Like
that's you going to the paraloft and coming up with your own solution. And I guarantee you this, bro. And I don't care if people believe me or not. People would think that you are a weak, scared turd for doing it. When you went to the paraloft, the only people that ain't going to say nothing are the riggers because they don't want to get smacked in the mouth.
Back
in the day, that was the deal.
Okay, I'll give you another one. Did you ever do a static line or a free fall at Fentress?
Yeah. I
imagine you had to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember how narrow that DZ was?
Bro, yeah.
Okay, so this is crazy. The first jump out there, they put 5 out of the 10 guys on the stick. I think they did 8 sticks out there. They did 4 out of the 8 landed in the trees. And I remember one of my boys was in the tree for 4.5 hours. They had to bring out a fire truck and a boom to finally get him out of the tree. And he was in a wheelchair for like a week and a half because his legs, like it kills your nerves and then they got to regrow. It's fucking crazy. Yep. I remember I came back and I was like, first of all, I'm not jumping out there. Okay. But second of all, I made my static line fucking rappel kit. Right, I had some Spectre cord and I had 3 carabiners, and my whole thing was like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna rappel out of the tree. And I remember I had it in my pocket, and the jump master was like, hey, what's in your pocket? And I pulled out my fucking tree extraction kit. He's like, what do you got that for? I'm like, because every time I jump at Fentress, you fuckers put people in the trees, right? And exactly what you said.
Yep.
And then we did a platoon workup, and we had to jump at Fentress, and the new jump masters were out there. And I remember I was like 3rd, maybe 4th or 5th in the stick. And I got to the door and I was like, I'm not jumping. And they got mad and they were motherfucking me in the helicopter. We landed, and everybody that went out before me was in the trees. And I was like, I looked down, we're over the trees. The wind's blowing over the trees. I'm in a round. Like, we're going in the trees, bruh. I'm not jumping in the trees. Like, fuck with it. And then, everybody, I got on the ground. You know how it is when you're the new guy. Like, they're going to be like, hey, man. So they got my ass on the way down. Like, Chief was yelling. Some people were yelling at me, right? And I just kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. And we landed, and then everybody was in the trees. And then we spent the next 4 fucking hours trying to get them out the trees.
Yeah.
And then people started coming up to you because they ain't going to say it in public. Hey, man, that was a great fucking call, Jake.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a secret.
Appreciate it. Right? Yeah. Well, hey, man, dude, why did you make that decision? The winds were blowing over the tree. The helicopter was over the tree. And that means we're going to land in the trees.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that was a good call, bro. Good call. But like you're saying, so much of it is.
It's operator error, bro. The culture is.
I call it like fucking unchecked bravado, right? The arrogance that I can fucking jump out this helicopter and not land in the trees in a round parachute, even though I'm over the trees and the winds are putting me more into the trees, right? But like you're saying, that's the culture, right? That no fail, no quit culture. But then we'll rewind to Grenada, and we killed 3 out of 4 dev group dudes jumping into the water at night, unprepared. Fucking number one thing I tell my new SEALs. If you are your own safety officer, 100%. And they will let you kill yourself. Okay. And so
you don't have to pay attention, dude. So, I mean, we're a little bit better of it because there was only 7 of us. So it's real easy to go, it's you, dude. The hot wash was brutal on a boat crew because there's 3 dudes on one boat, 4 dudes on the other boat. One of those dudes at OIC, he can get some too if he's making mistakes.
Yep.
But there is no place to hide in a boat crew, Jake. There is no place to hide.
Yeah.
So, the hot wash is brutal, but the reason I said earlier, operator error, that's the default mentality. If you jump out, I don't care what the winds are doing. I don't care how short the DZ is. I don't care where the helicopter puts you out. If you're a good enough operator, you'll land on the DZ. If you land somewhere else, it's operator error. That's the mentality, bro. So if you try to be like, no, he's like, good on you, dude. Just stand in that door, the nuts on you, because you're going to get hammered, dude. The minute you stand in that door, and, that's the culture. Well, we'll eat your lunch, dude, even if you're right, because you are tarnishing all of our egos and our brand and who we think we are and what we can do by saying it's just not possible. We got to be smarter, not harder. And back in the day, it was harder. Just be harder, dude. Just be harder. There was no, that's what I mean. Like, we were in the dark. So guys started having crazy erratic behavior, just crazy boat guys, DBGs, dirty boat guys. They're going to click off safe. There's something, we don't know what. But they're not getting blown up. They're okay. They're not getting, some getting shot at. But what's wrong with them? They're just on boats. And then guys, the suicide. Here's the mission. You start dehydrated and no sleep. Then you jump out of a plane and get a hard opening because you have a 4-hour recall chute. That chute has not been jumped since the last time the balloon went up. So that thing's just been sitting in the pack, and it's going to open hard, dude. You get a whiplash event, small concussive event, then you land in the water. That takes care of that. You're like, ooh, cold water, I feel better. You swim to the boat, and then you are just in a car accident for as long as it takes, all night long. And then you go
but
back.
You're talking about all night. No. Not as long as it takes. It's all night long.
Yeah.
Like, you're driving a boat all fucking night long.
Yeah.
Like 24-mile, 30-mile insert, right? Like OTB over the horizon. Like you're fucking like people think you land in the boat and then you drive the boat like a fucking mile down the road and you go to work. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like it's a long ass ways. Okay.
Yeah, we were in New York. So that's just to give people an idea of what we talk about training and the job and what it takes. We were doing a long range nav from New York down to Virginia Beach. A nor'easter, three-quarters of the way in, a nor'easter blows up. There's no safe haven. There's not always there's nowhere to pull over. You got two choices. You got maybe 3 hours to go before you get back to the beach in the inlet and you're safe from the open ocean. You can go slow and make it 5 hours if you got the fuel, but you're still going to get smashed. The ocean floor will just drop away from you. It's not like the movies and TV or when you were out on your boat. People don't understand when you get stuck out there, the ocean will pick you up, turn you sideways, and just drop you on your side. And you're holding on.
Yep.
It don't matter. So you can do that real slow for 3.5 to 4 hours and try to mitigate it. You can't even see the other boat. You're tying IR chem lights to your whip on the top of the mast just to find the other boat. And you guys are maybe 15 feet apart. That's how big it is.
Yeah.
Or you can just hammer down, get home in 3 hours, and take that ass whooping fast.
Yep. And
so guys choose the latter, and there's not a good choice. It's the lesser of two evils. There's not a good choice. And that's just a training op, bro. That's with nothing on the line except your life, because you can't, you're your only home. When you said you're only a safety officer, when you're on a boat crew out in the middle of the ocean, you're it. There's no one to call. No one's coming. We had the Coast Guard straight up tell us, we're not going out. We're not going out.
Hey, you heard my thing, bro. There ain't no fucking lifeguards. There ain't no Coast Guard at 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the fucking Atlantic. Like if you don't save yourself, you're fucking dead. You know?
And you just have those times where you look at your boy standing right next to you and you just look at each other and you're like, we either make it or we don't. I love you, man. This is it. You know what I mean? Like in your eyes, you've had those moments where you look at your boy and you're like, holy shit, man, this is it. It's the real deal. And more of those things happen at home because that's your job than they do downrange in getting ambushed on a river, which that's what happens. You know what I mean? They get in big gunfights, but we lose way more people to training and to TBI and undiagnosed CTE we are literally the NFL equivalent of soft. I mean, just 1000%. Nobody else goes as fast as us and takes as many hits as us. It doesn't exist. It is the job.
Did you see my TBI review of SWCC?
I did. That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one.
I'm just going to tell you right now. I told a couple SWCC dudes reach out to me. I got the Brain PDF. I'll put a plug in right now. It's free. If you email me and just ask for the Brain PDF, I'll put a link up here in the video. I'll send you the Brain PDF, man. And it was 3 strength coaches at Michigan or at Illinois and me. And then it was a trip to the Cleveland Clinic Functional Medicine Department. Like, my brain is trash, bro. It's trash. I got to do probably 30 minutes to an hour a day on it, but it allows me to talk. Like, I was just talking yesterday, man, with my boy who works at the agency, and I was stuttering. And I was like, ooh. And then I was like, ooh, you haven't used the red light in 2 days. I was like, ooh. And then I got on the red light last night, and I'm doing great today. So
if you're a SWCC operator or a fast boat operator of any kind, or anybody just wants to learn about TBI, there's a Facebook page, SWCC TBI, get on it. Like, the science is there. NSW does a great job post-career. Like, I don't want people to sound like, make it sound like we're shitting on our own culture. We take care of you for life. We take care of each other.
All right, let me in, motherfuckers. Let me in.
So there's a load of really well done infographics explaining everything. Shit we didn't know nothing about. We know there's tons of treatment. Go get your treatment. One of my boys, he got out after me, and he was like, hey, man, I was doing all my VA stuff, looking into stuff, and I'm ignorant. I'm just figuring out the brain stuff and getting my help. Now I just didn't know what was wrong with me. Same as that operator syndrome, same as everybody.
Yep.
And my boy was like, I feel pretty good, dude. I was like, it doesn't exist, bro. Start documenting. I don't care how you feel now. Wait. It's a creeper. So here's the hard truth about selection.
Okay, hang on real quick. Let me hit this real quick so we can put some facts with this. So when we had done 6 months of research as a football staff kind of deal, right? Yeah. We didn't know this. When I went to the Cleveland Clinic and I told them what I was doing for my brain health, the lady at the Cleveland Clinic's eyes got wide, right? She was like, holy shit, you're going to be just fine. I said, explain. She said at 42 years old, your lungs go below the threshold for oxygen production to allow your brains to repair every night. And so it's a cascading effect after 42. And she said it's normally about 5 years before you start seeing major problems. I was exactly 47 when the shit, like I was getting lost on my way to work, right? Like, all the stuff that we've experienced. And so I want people to understand that you may feel fine as a 38-year-old, 39-year-old, 42-year-old, 44-year-old, 45-year-old. And what's going to happen is what happened to me at 47. I fell off a fucking cliff, man. Like, it wasn't like I'm having little memory problems. It was like, no, I'm standing in my fucking driveway for 20 minutes. Like, where am I going? I'm like, why am I up at 5 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, it's 4:30. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm going to the swimming pool before the 6 o'clock meeting, right? Like, and so then I started slurring my words really bad. I would be in a conversation. I would lose my train of thought. And then I had the sticky notes. I looked at my computer and there was 1,000 sticky notes around it because my memory was like 2 seconds long. Like I had a thought, I had to write it on a sticky note. So all of those problems are based on the fact that your lungs at 42 years old, give or take a little bit, lose the oxygen production needed to repair your brain at night. And so I'm putting a post in the TBI place right now. I have a brain PDF that's part medicine, part functional medicine, like Chinese medicine. But the main thing is GWOT, exercise with oxygen, and then red light therapy, and then nootropics to feed your brain every day. And like, you can fix it, right? Like my depression, my anxiety, all that shit was hitting me. Like, I had a fucking panic attack driving to the VA in 2017. I was in Findlay, Ohio. I was driving to the VA for a mental health evaluation. I had a panic attack. I sweated through my clothes in like 3 minutes. I was on the side of the freeway. I was like, oh my God, like my whole family's going to die while I'm at this appointment. I was like, what the fuck? But it wasn't a year later. So that summer I went to Illinois, and then that fall we worked on the whole brain PDF. It's all research driven. There's no fucking voodoo magic in this shit.
All soft guys don't understand is whether you do it consciously, which is recommended, you just got to figure out the tools and the help to lead you through it, or your body will eventually decompartmentalize everything you have been shutting down for the job. Chronic pain, anger, depression, anxiety, fear. That is what selection is for. Can you compartmentalize all those things and do the mission? That's why we're cold and wet. That's why we do shit at night. That's why we go out in scary waves. That's why we do all this stuff to be operators, because that's what the mission requires. What they don't teach you is how to decompartmentalize after the mission is over. To even decomp for a little bit in between workups. Like, hey, between land warfare and air training, we're going to decomp. So when you get out and you might feel good, this stuff is coming for you. I don't care. Combat, no combat. You could have breached 1,000,000 doors or shot 1,000,000 rounds of 50. It does not matter. Or done none of those things. Even if you were a cook in the military. I saw something the other day. This guy's like, oh, you got PTSD? What was your rate? And he's like, oh, I was a cook. And he was like talking shit. I was like, somebody slap that dude in the face. Look, don't convince some dude because he didn't go to combat or he didn't have a soft job that he don't have some problems. Because even, so soft does it at a level that is cranked up to 11. It's ridiculous. Push it down, lock it away, drive on. Push it down, lock it away, drive on. Fear, anxiety, like you said, all the things. When I got, when skydivers die the most? 200 plus jumps. When that compartmentalization has become part of their DNA, they're like, oh, I'm just walking out my front door instead of jumping out of them. That fear keeps you alive. You're supposed to have it. We shut it down. But even if you're a cook in the Navy and you're like, I got to say goodbye to my family, my friends, my wife, my kids, you lock that away. It's locked away, dude. Otherwise, you'd be crying yourself to sleep every night. Your body's going to get rid of that one way or another. And it will happen, like you said, as you get older, bro. 47, 48. Now, compound, your body's like trying to get rid of all this stress, all this shit. And now you got TBI on top of it. Now you got real physical problems. And you need to go get that help. Just don't give up. Get the help.
Get help, bro. Hey, I tell everybody that's watching this, reach out to me, bro. Like, I got stem cells in both shoulders, both elbows. Like, they tried to replace both my shoulders at 40. I was 41 years old. They tried to replace both my shoulders. So, like,
I just got how bad you take get my hip replaced And I'm just fight, keep fighting.
Wait,
Dudes. You know what I mean?
listen. I'm gonna give you something. They got a new treatment out. My boy just had it done. Okay, they're doing fat liposuction, inject the whole joint with fat. Okay, then they're coming back 6 weeks later and they're injecting PRP in there. So my dude that's doing PRP was doing stem cells. He says he's getting the same results. I know you don't have a VA over there, but the VA is doing it now. And so, but my boy just got it done like 6 months ago on his shoulder, and it fixed his whole shoulder. And when I say fixed, it's a air quotes. He's not going to have his shoulder replaced now. I got it in both of my shoulders. My shoulders are great, okay? As long as I don't do no dumb shit. I can't go out there and bench press. I can't use a shovel. But as long as I just keep it clean, my shoulders are not going to get replaced. Even though I had bone on one shoulder, I had a huge fucking, like my shoulder ball looked like it had spikes growing out of it. The stem cells receded, all of that. The other thing I'm going to tell you guys, because both guys got terrible backs, CPI. I went to the CPI clinic in Tijuana and got my vertebrae injected with stem cells. It fixed my back. Fixed it. And so the other thing is now it's kind of expensive in Tijuana, but you can go to Colombia. It's about $8,000. I'm telling everybody, man, they wanted to fuse my lower back. You know how that is. You get your back fused, man, you're fucked. It's over. It's over. And so like we got some treatments out there that I'm a privy to because I was in Division I athletics. And I saw these guys, guys getting ACL injuries. They dipped the whole ACL graft in stem cells and they got blood growth in 8 weeks. Because sometimes I feel like I was doing a bad job of making sure, because I was a lieutenant at the time, and I look back and I see what I'm doing now. And I feel like I could have been doing that much when I was in the teams. But then I got to remind myself that I was trying to fucking survive myself, right? Like,
and you didn't have the age and maturity. I feel the same way. So there was a guy. He's actually great dude. He was a black guy. He had the unfortunate to be in one of the documentaries about SWCC or whatever, and they always focus on if there's a black guy in the class, you're going to get a lot of camera time. Just recruiting, whatever. And I saw him at the team, and I could have reached out more. There was a couple black dudes. The only thing you care about, and the only thing I cared about was my reputation and how my peers thought of me, and that they knew you can do it. Cool. I'll see you on the range. I'll see you at the pool, bro. I'll see you on the oak course. I'll see you on the boat. I'll see you in the sky. Just know I'm not going to be on the either end of that bell curve, bro. I'm going to be right there with you. And it takes so much to be that guy. And you're young. And like I said, it's a selfish career in a lot of ways. It's very selfless. I'm still to a fault a team guy. Once I get a certain bona fide, I'm like, where do you want to dig the holes, bro? I'm your guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just, I'm all in. Yep. But there's also a very competitive, selfish nature to be that guy. And, I feel the same way sometimes, like, why wasn't I a better mentor? Why wasn't I a better? One, the culture was like, oh, if you're not on my level, you're just not on my level, bro. I'm only going to surround myself with guys who are competing to take my spot or I want their spot. And that was a brotherhood in the brotherhood of those guys who were like, they're some of my best friends for life. But, we were on each other. You know what I mean? Like, there was no slipping.
You know what's interesting, Eric? And I'm going to tell you what's really changed the game is a cell phone, right? Like this thing right here. So right now, and I'm going to tell a story because you're going to like it. Like you and I are the same person, right? So we have a signal group of 109 Black SEALs, okay? It may be the most powerful minority function in the country because there's only 109 of us in there, but something magic happened about 5 months ago. So, like my phone, I've made pretty much, there's been 13 black officers since 2008. I've made 12 of them. Okay. So pretty much, even when I was in the teams, if someone was black, was trying to be a SEAL, I'm going to get a phone call. Okay. Well, now it's exacerbated. I got a YouTube channel. All I do is mentor. We've got Discord cranking. I got it's happening everywhere, right? On all levels. So I get a phone call from a black guy, E5, who's a corpsman. And he's like, hey, man, I don't know if you can help me. I said, okay, what's going on? He's like, I'm at Group 2 Medical, and I am the only black guy at Group 2 Medical, and they are fucking beating the shit out of me. And I said, okay, how long have you been there? He said, I just got here. I've been here like 2 months. I can't do anything right. Like they're fucking hazing me, right? Typical team behavior, right? Team
Yep.
guy behavior. Don't give a shit if you're in medical. Don't, you got fucking SEAL PAs in there. You got SEAL doctors in there.
It
So
could be
I
worse
go
if you're
right.
a tech.
Yep. I go right to the fucking, to the Black Frog signal group, right? Hey guys, I got a problem. It's group 2 medical. Does anybody have it? Is anybody there that can take this young man under your wing? He just needs some mentorship. He's a great kid. Talked to him on the phone for an hour. He's fucking phenomenal. He just doesn't, he's on an island. He needs a little help. Fucking 2 seconds later. Shit, Jake, no problem. You know who the CEO of Group 2 Medical is? I'm like, no. They're like, it's so-and-so, a Black Frog. So I say, okay, are we good? Then like a minute later, that CEO comes on. It's like, hey, Jake, I'm right here. He'll be in my office in 5 fucking minutes. And so the kid I called the kid that evening and he's crying. And he's like, I didn't even know our CEO was Black. I didn't know. He's like, Jake, I'm okay. I'm like, all right, cool, bro. You good? He's like, I'm good. He was crying, right? And I was like, holy shit, right? 1998, that was me crying, right? Like, how the fuck am I fucking all this shit up? Like, this is crazy, And I wasn't fucking shit up. It's just I had a really bad leader, right? And they ended up pulling his trident. And then I did a bunch of shit between when they pulled his trident and when I got fired, and it fucking burned me in the community, right? Like I made non-educated decisions. And I said, holy shit, we have come so far that a young man can reach out and in 5 minutes get help. And it changes the course of his life and his experience in the SEAL teams, right? Like that, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome, right? And I called him back 6 months later. He said, I'm fucking killing it, Jake. I love it here, And I called the CEO. I talked to him. He said, Jake, he's fucking, we got him, bro. Like, he's not a bad kid. He just, you know how it is. I'm like, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that but I feel bad, man. Like, Jason Birch and there's another dude,
I deployed
Pace.
With Jason. We got some stories.
Jason's okay. So I'm on SEAL Team 8. We're doing MAROPS workup, get ready to deploy. And so we're in the little boat basin and I'm getting out the boat. And one of my dudes like, yo, Jake, there's another Black officer. I'm like, what? Right? Like I knew Pace. I didn't know Birch. He was Naval Academy dude. Pace was Naval Academy dude. But we did a demonstration the year before and I met both of them. But I didn't remember them. So I'm on the dock and I get all like, oh, shit, there's a Black officer. I should have been alerted by the fact that he had his bars and his name tape on his uniform for MAROPS, right? He was an SQT at the time. But I didn't think nothing of it. I just was excited, right? I was like, oh, shit. I'm a full lieutenant. So they pull in and he was in the boat still. I'm on the dock. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? That's exactly what I said. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He looked at me. He's like, excuse me? You will address me as Ensign Birch.
Ensign. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, are you fucking serious? Stand at attention when you address me. Dog, I Terry-tated that motherfucker out of the boat. And so I was underwater and I was looking him face to face, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to drown this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I was holding him underwater. Like I can swim like a fish, right? And so I was underwater with him. I was looking right at him. Bubbles coming out his fucking mouth. I was like, I'm drowning this motherfucker. And we came to the surface and he was crying. He was like, ah! And I'm like, you will address me as Lieutenant Swig, motherfucker. He was like, oh, you're a lieutenant. Why are you acting like this? I was like, motherfucker, you're the only other Black officer I've seen in fucking 3 years. And dog, I turned, I let him go. I swam to the pier. My boys pulled me out. Everybody's crying, right? And they're like, God damn, like, Jake, he wants you to call him sir. You better call him sir next time, right? And it was bad. So that's my Jason Birch story.
Seals and Swick when we are together.
Really?
Fun stuff, right? Like,
man,
some young...
I was just happy when I could get in the fucking boat and not have to worry about where we were going, bro. I was so excited to see you guys, man.
Mostly, unless it gets crazy. Yeah, it's a great feeling. But we used to, comm school, whatever, on deployment, like, I'm going to talk shit. I don't care. If I'm better and you should be better, you're going to know it. So this kid, one of my go-tos was, who told you that? You tried it? Like, someone would say some dumb shit. Or like, they didn't know what frequent around or how to fucking do something. shoot, move, and communicate, soft skill, and they were just new or having a hard time, I'd be like, they're like, hey, how do I rig this towing bridle for my Zodiac? I'm like, ask your Trident, bro. It don't know. I'm like, you gotta shut up and pay attention, dude. It don't matter. Like, it's not an automatic. But now, because of the internet, it's an automatic golden ticket to some places these motherfuckers shouldn't be. Because I can tell immediately when they open their mouth if they were a good fucking dude or a smart, intelligent team guy that was the top of the bell curve and progressed things and left it better, or if they were one of the guys that showed up and did their job, but somehow they turned it into now they know things that they absolutely do not fucking know. When I hear people say vanilla soft and black soft, when I hear people say, yeah, on high side, and they're talking about SIPRNet, if you're quiet enough, someone will self-incriminate immediately beyond their capability. If their
absolutely.
ego is fluffed up by believing the shit they hear about themselves.
I will tell you this. Okay. A lot of motherfuckers have been bitching about buds. Okay. 5 years ago, buds was hard as fuck. Okay. I thought it was too hard. They had rucks on. They had so many fucking stress fractures from making them wear rucks all the time. They got rid of that. Now they're on this fucking, you got to run fast as a Thompson's Gazelle, right? But I will tell you, having had dudes in every class for the last 15 fucking years, that the standards is exactly the same. The product that's coming out the machine is exactly the same, right? Like I'm hearing, oh, this generation is soft. As I tell you where it ain't soft. It ain't soft coming out of the SWCC fucking pipeline and the SEAL pipeline. I can tell you that. Because those motherfuckers are the exact.
That is a great, like when I say self-incriminator, that's a great one. When I hear people say, oh, especially GWOT dudes, bro, I just expect more from us because we're Gen Xers. We were punk rockers, skaters, gangsters, hip hop. We were the counterculture, parental advisory, NWA. We were those dudes. Everybody was hating on us. These guys couldn't do it. These fucking guys, blah, 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 blah. Surfers, skaters, counterculture dudes. These guys can't. They're not warriors. Blah, blah. And now I hear GWOT dudes saying it about millennials. And shut the fuck up, dude. If a guy signs up to be guy or girl, whatever, signs up, they're that dude. You don't know till they go. I don't care what selection or no selection. I don't care if it's tier 1 or tier. We do a good job of selecting for guys who aren't good. They will shoot back. I guarantee it. I was so devastated when my boys got. So I was, it's not my ego talking, it just is what it is. I was a go-to guy at the team. If something needed to be done, Sims, we're going to send you to this school. Sims, they're finally letting SWCC do this. Sims, they're going to do, damn it, whatever it is, you go. And so we were going to be the first coastal team to stand up a Riverine dash in the GWOT and go get it. Well, what people don't understand about the SOC, our platform, is they are the tier 1 response force for National Soft. There is no other platform. It is Special Boat Team 22. They're, as much as, Task Force Aviation Mobility is a tier 1 unit. For Riverine, 22 is that same capability. Now, Damneck has its own for coastal, but not for Riverine. It's only because it's a different animal. You have to have that job full time. So we were going down there and working for Task Force, Task Force specifically. And I was just burnt out, man. And I was like, they needed a jump master broke his leg. So I had a choice. Like, do this short pump, go back to Germany and be a jump master, or go to Iraq. And still, this is before guys had a sipper drop in every team room. Cell phones. We still didn't know shit. So I didn't know they were fucking slanging and banging, bro. Like, you just didn't get that word back fast enough. So I was supposed to be the JTAC of that debt in the LPO. And I opted for the other one because I was starting to prioritize my fiance and my future wife. Like you had asked earlier, how did I make it work, right? You make these type of decisions. And that debt got in the biggest firefight since Vietnam. Like, a giant...
On the water?
Yes. Man. I mean, the biggest firefight since like legendary. And I didn't go. I was in Germany with my wife. And so when I screened for this tier 1 support group or whatever, one of the questions they ask in the interview is, hey, what's one of your biggest regrets? So you get locked in a room and you're stuck there by yourself and you got 2 paragraphs to write. Write up whatever they tell you. Your most complicated mission, what was your role, how do you feel, and then what's your biggest regret? And I was like, missing that deployment was my biggest regret. And I was there because some of my best boys were in there, like the top dog. And we came back, we're having a big party. I'm sitting on the porch, smoking a cigar, having a whiskey. And my boy, who was here and here. We were the same dude in competition wise, and just best friends. He comes out and he shuts the door and he's like, dude, you were still the best operator I've ever known. There's no doubt in my mind you would have crushed it. Do not let this shit weigh you
Nah,
down.
but it don't like look, man, I didn't go back in after on 9/11. I got the phone call from Margaret. And I just didn't feel I didn't feel like I could trust anybody in the teams at that point, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
I
tough.
look at it now, and you know, Eric, everything happens for a reason, man. I got 3 fucking kids and I've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
If I had said yes to that phone call, and I know a bunch of motherfuckers bang me on the internet for it. I'm like, look, man, I had to deal with the shit myself. I still feel bad about it, right?
Yeah.
But I also know who I am. And like, I got shot in high school, right? And I love fucking gunfights. That shit, boy, you come out of gunfight, you fucking alive, okay? Yeah. But I also know, like, I could have went.
Yep.
And I'd be like all these other motherfuckers our age, fucking a bottle. I don't drink, so I would have had babes. A babes and a yellow lab would have been my fucking retirement. And like right now, I'm raising 3 Zwigs. You know what I'm saying? I got 3 boys. Yeah. One of the motherfuckers named Zimbek, right? Like everybody in my family is named after somebody in my family, and I'm raising the next generation of Zwigs. And I'm still married, although I probably shouldn't be, but my wife ain't left me yet. Shout out to Sarah. I love you. But it's like that decision that I made, that's my biggest regret. Like if I stand right here, I don't go back and make a different decision. I would have loved to have went, and because I was going right to deployment. Like that's the whole reason they called me, right? And you know, but I don't know what would have happened. You know, would I have went for one pump and then got out? Probably not.
I would have went straight to I had already screened positive for Damnet. Positive screening, blew my ACL. They're like, hey, you have to redo the physical part. Of course, no problem. I was like, hey, one of the things I'm not going to do is that crazy 600 question bubble test. I'm like,
yeah.
That will make you crazy. So if I pass, I don't want to do that again. And they're like, don't worry, that's good for a certain amount of time. You just got to redo the physical. I came back and I got better scores post ACL than I did on my original physical screening. And I'm downrange, and the Master Chief of Unit 2 was an old gray Master Chief. And I was out with my fiance, and I got the call, because the first time you had a cell phone, I was issued my first cell phone, my first email address, all that stuff. We were on a 4-hour recall, and I get the call. I was like, hey, Master Chief wants to see you. And I knew it was for Green. And I took that job with a promise to my OIC that if I got called for Green Team, I just wouldn't quit in the middle of deployment. Nobody knew anything, right? Nobody has the information they have now.
No one had any idea what that meant at all.
No. So I was just like, yeah, I'm keeping my promise. I'm a good team guy. I'm not gonna leave Joe high and dry, and I didn't go. All that to say, I would also make the same decisions, because then it led me, as a civilian contractor, I worked downrange, embedded, it had more influence and sway, and got to do more cool shit with every single squadron from Dam Neck, and have more influence and just great opportunities for a decade, and running teams for every tier 1 unit embedded that I never would have had before. And I kept my wife, who, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be talking to you, because I couldn't get this thing off the ground without her. Shout out Eileen, love you.
And the biggest thing I say, so I got a couple dudes over at Dam Neck, and the one dude's like, he disappeared for 3 years. He said, Jake, I work 12 hours a day and then another 6 every day of the week. Because he was in a talk, right? He was in a talk at fucking Dam Neck, and he's like, I'm on port and starboard watch, and then I got to do my job. And he's like, and then my other dude went over there as a GS, just as a GS, to do some fucking shit. He's like, Jake, it's the craziest environment in the world. Like, there is no such thing as work. Like, it's all work. Like, but like, we know where we're at. Like, we're at a fucking zero fail mission unit.
I will tell you, it is the best environment. So it's crazy, most toxic.
If you on the other side of the fence. If you upstairs, yes.
It's
right?
The hardest.
But
I was working, so I called back to DC and I was like, look, here's what I'm working. And they're like, that can't be true, because you're working more hours than there is in one day. I had to get special permission to, be charging that kind of, billing those kind of hours. And I was like, look, bro, I wake up, I go to work, and we're planning op.
Yep.
We conduct op. The boys come back. We debrief ops. They go to bed. send out the one slider. I'm talking to Bragg. I'm talking to everybody else. I'm talking to DC.
Yep.
I'm doing all the shit. And then I have a meeting in the morning with the embassy, OGA, and whoever else we're working with. I have to make that meeting. I might get 2 hours sleep from 6 in the morning till 8 in the morning. And then I just throw my polo on over my shit and throw on pants and I'm out the door on an airfield. And that goes until period of darkness is over. Like it is the hardest you'll ever work in your life. But so, I don't know if you felt this way on deployments, and it's the same way with them. The harder deployment and the more you work, the more you bond. I mean, it's trauma bonding, if we just want to call it what it is. The more you bond with that team. And you are never closer or more, and I don't know how else to say, but just more in love with the people you're with than at the end of a really hard deployment. So imagine if that's across the street with everything you got to do and everything on the line and the standard that's so high, you don't exist there if you're not doing it. So
but
you come off that deployment,
everybody,
and I'm like, I don't even want to talk to anyone else.
That's
the
why
OIC came to my retirement, and him and I were in the corner of the bar with all my friends everywhere else, and it's just me and him, and he's like, Eric, you got it. I was like, oh, and I didn't understand what I was doing, but he was the last guy I was deployed with. Oh shit, my bad.
And that's why everybody has such a hard transition out.
Yes, of course.
Right? I tell everybody, you're never going to get nothing like the SEAL teams in the outside world. I don't give a shit. Now, maybe if you go over the ground branch, but even there, it's fucking shaky, right? Like you can't. Tell you firsthand experience. No, I know you can't trust nobody over there, right? So
and I got a story for you So I was working downrange with the boy, and they're like, "Hey, you have to go meet with these guys," and it was GB. I'm not gonna get too much into it because
you're good.
But and I try to play my cards close. When I'm just talking to you, just talking to another team guy, it's just me. My professionalism is weak and unreadable at best. I do what I can, but I just let it hang out. You know what I mean? Like we're in the team room, maybe even to my own detriment. But in a professional environment, I'm the ultimate professional. So he could tell just by looking at me. He's like, "Hey man, you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. What time's the meeting?" He's like, "I can tell you don't like that group of people." And I was like, I'm not going to say anything to you. I don't want to taint because he just got in. He just ripped in. So I didn't want to taint or influence his perspective, right? Because part of my role, I'm a bit of a gray beard. I've been working the problem set. I'm kind of the guy, right? So I'm like, hey, it's just me. I worked with them in Iraq. I worked with them as a part of my job so many times. Not just them, case officers, blue badge, up and down, everybody. From every level. Tactical, operational, even some out of my depth at strategic levels. I've done it. It's not my cup of tea for all the reasons you said. So he goes over there. We have our meeting and we come back and he's like, "Oh, I get it now." I'm like, "Yeah, just because they're former team guys so it might be different now. If you get out in Woodlands and you go over there, right? You get out in Woodland. You go over there and do whatever you do, right? Their version of a trade is not that. You're not you're not leveling up unless you do it as a onesie, and you know how hard that is.
You ain't leveling up. You taking the skills you have and they putting you to work immediately.
When we get over there, there is no more leveling up, bro. We are the people who level other people. We are the level up. That's why it's called developmental. We are the level. The gap, bro. The only reason you get away with that gap because theater soft is hands down we are the heat. You can get out in BDUs and get away with it. You can in foreign countries running and gunning with your own bugs that you're training. Okay. But then when you bring that mentality, ego, attitude, and culture to people who are actually light years ahead of you, dude, and all you are is a liability without accountability, I'm out. I am out. But because of the job, I mitigate and I don't influence. I let you see it. And then I'm like, all this means for us is we got to do it over on our own time to make sure we're covering everybody's ass.
Eric, listen to this one. So in 4, I got an itch, right? Like Zembek was over there murdering. Everybody was fucking chewing bodies, right? And I was like, man, I had applied to the agency in 03 and I got probed and I failed the probe miserably, right? Like I knew I was getting probed and I said something. It was stupid. It was, I sent the email. So this is how you know you're getting watched sometimes. I sent the email at 6 p.m. At 7:30 a.m., I'm getting probed. Right. And I knew it and I fucked up. So anyway, I didn't get picked up. So then a year later, So that was 02. 03 went by. I was working in consulting. GWOT is rolling now. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking go. I'm going to take another run at this. So I sent a 1-sentence fucking agency application in. I want to go to foreign lands and kill bad people. That's all I said. Okay. So I sent the email, went to work. That evening, I got a phone call. And they're like, hey, Jake, we got your email. And I was thinking to myself, like, how the fuck, like it's, and I should have, in 02, it took them like fucking 8 hours to get to me. This time it took 6, right? So I'm like, okay. And they're like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We got a guy that's going to give you a call tomorrow night. He's going to have a conversation with you. If you're still interested, just tell him and then we'll put you in the pipeline. I was like, okay, cool. They didn't say anything. That was the whole conversation, right? There was no, hey, we're calling you about this. No, just, hey, you emailed us yesterday or this morning. So the next night, I was kind of excited about it, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I made sure I didn't tell anybody because the last time I talked to my roommate about it, and I didn't tell nobody.
Smart.
So this dude calls me and he's like, hey, man, I'm calling you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And at the time, I didn't have anybody over there. I didn't have anybody I could talk to. So I just said, hey, man, shoot me straight. What's it about? He said, man. And he got real fucking like, when there's a killer talking to you, like they changed the tone of their voice into like that serious, like fucking, okay, I was talking to you as a person, but now I'm talking to you as a fucking killer, right?
Yeah, just disconnected. It's disgusting. It's not.
Yep. Like super, super sterile, like a sterile conversation. And so he's like, hey, Jake is fucking awesome, man. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't talking, right? Just listening. He goes, I just got back 3 weeks ago from a 3-month deployment. He's like, you can kill anybody you want to kill. And I was like, okay. He goes, there's no fucking rules. He said, now, the price you pay for no fucking rules is you also have no fucking support. And I was like, all right. I was like, so I say, it's pretty fulfilling job. He goes, I don't know if fulfilling is the right word, but you have a lot of fun. And I was like, And he said, do you have any other questions? And I said, nope. I said, can I think about this? He said, sure, go ahead. He's like, if you want to, just send another email. Okay. And I remember I got off the phone and I was like, I feel like in our community, there's guys that I'm not going to say I didn't value my life at that time, but there was guys that did not value their life at all. Yeah. Like they did not give 2 fucks about their life. And I felt like this dude was just drunk on the killing, right? Like, and I was like, and now being in the position we are and having a bunch of dudes at Ground Branch, I absolutely know what they were doing. They were going to get fucking goat herders out of Yemen in 3-man teams and fucking dudes getting their fucking heads blown off, right? Or you were training a fucking 12-man team and you're going into combat with fucking 12 goat herders, like, so, and you didn't have no support, right? When the shit went bad, if you couldn't get yourself out of it, you're fucking dead. Yeah. And so now, like much like I did when I didn't go back in 2011, like it's one of those deals where you're like, fuck, I'm glad I didn't go over there.
Yeah, dude. I had 2 guys in GB. I had a guy in Maritime. I had a guy in Air. I had like 4 dudes in GRS. And they were all like, come on, man. Easy day. Easy day. You say the word. And I just knew one guy was an actual good team guy, RIP. He got out of the teams, went that route, came, talked to me. I got him back in the reserves because he missed the actual. You need those people. The price. I don't care how much fun you're having. The price you pay is your soul. I even can admit now that there was times I didn't give a fuck either about my life. I compartmentalized, and it enabled me to do some things that humans probably shouldn't be okay with doing. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But the price you pay, it isn't the lack of QRF or this and that. None of that shit makes any difference. The price you pay is your loss of culture, your loss of team. We are really good. That's the big difference between when I work with Delta or when I work with Dev. Everybody has their own little bit of toxic behavior and all that shit, and it can get really, really bad because you go overboard in any direction. But our culture is a team culture, bro. I don't even care if your great granddaddy is the Grand Wizard of the clan. me and you are going to go together and we're down for each other. It doesn't matter. That's our culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their culture
100%.
is not that. And you need it. I don't want to be it. And can I? Yes. Am I willing to sacrifice that? No. So what people, and I don't, cut this, whatever. What people don't understand is it's being sold, and I get it. You have to get people in, right? And now it's so over. You got people.
Wait, you talking about Ground Branch?
And,
the agents? Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody's on the fucking. Hey, have you seen Nate Valhalla? It's the funniest shit. You know the dude, the CIA dude with the long hair. He's like Hispanic. He's all over the internet. And Nate's calling him fucking the Temu fucking Ground Branch dude. It's the funniest shit in the world.
Yeah. Those guys, whatever. That's where I had to bite my tongue and not burn cultures and not just peek behind the black curtain. So luckily in my career, I've got to work with so many people and get so far down the rabbit hole, and I don't know how. I was the guy behind the black curtain. Everyone thinks like, oh, when I go to this place, I'm going to appear behind the black curtain. It's going to be this team. And then I go to this place, I'm going to be, and it is to a certain level. But then when you get to a certain level, they are appearing behind the black curtain and it's you. That's how you got that. You're the guy. When I had my little small team, 60 dudes, 70 dudes, I don't know, 90 dudes before guys and girls. The first thing I do at Indoc, and I'm like, welcome to behind the black curtain. I'm like, when you pull back the black curtain where we're going to put you in the world, in spaces and problems we're going to put you in, when you pull back that black curtain, it's a mirror. They're expecting you to be that solution. There is no more curtains, dude. This little secret skiff in the basement of some 3-letter agency you think is doing it.
Yep.
When you get down there, they're looking at you like, please, God, are you the guy that's going to help me? And you have to be that guy. Anyway, that culture thing is just madness. I can't. And they learn very quickly that, they get the best from them. They get 2-pump OIC from Afghanistan, who was a theater soft ODA, and now he's a Blue Badger, and he's got 3 pumps doing this. And okay, that guy, he got to follow that guy through a salad bar, bro. What are we talking about?
Yep.
Anyway,
back when Blackwater had firemen and policemen on it.
Oh my God. One of my boys, Mark 5 guy, he went to Blackwater, good dude, and he was security guy, appropriate, because he can run a gun and no problem. He wasn't a door kicker. He was, he had the right job for his skill set. And I'm like, who are these other guys who are going out on patrol? Like, who are these guys who are going out for QRF? He's like, that guy was a sheriff for Virginia Beach sheriff. And I'm like, nope, also not joining that club.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's interesting. I had 4 dudes that screened for Damneck, and they all didn't, they didn't select. And they all 4 went to Blackwater. So I was in training for the first 9 months. I was at the SEAL team. So they were all in training with me. And then they went to Damneck. They didn't get it. And then they all went to Blackwater. So when we went and did CQB and fucking range at Blackwater for 2 months, they were our instructors. And I remember I was like, so I had kind of this like failure mentality of Blackwater. Like, all the guys. Then the war kicked off and they were taking firemen, and I never once even thought about going over there, right? But like, it was just kind of interesting how my firsthand experience with Blackwater was formed. And then, because I look back, like I missed a massive opportunity in business to go over there as a business dude and make millions of dollars, right?
Yeah, business, it was good. My boy came back to the team and he had paid off a brand new sports car, paid off his townhouse. He had money, so it was looking good. And he had the beard and the long hair. And back in the day, I mean, you're the man. But nah, son. Same thing with the diplomatic security teams when they stood up. A buddy of mine I was working with.
GBRS?
No, the GRS is
GRS.
Agency. No, this
GRS.
No, that's agency. They're the case officer.
You're talking about just contract security in country.
GSS. So they're actually
diplomatic security from State Department.
Yes, and they're not.
Yes,
they're not contractors.
They're State Department DS. So I did a 2-year contract at State Department as a consultant.
They're cops. They're like immigration cops, and then they deploy, and then they're like security. So my buddy's like, come on,
with no training.
They're training. They're trash. So my buddy, dear friend of mine, he was at the birth of all my children. Nearly, I was at the birth of all his. We were thick as thieves. He's like, come on, bro. I'm like, So half of me when I was young had an ego, and I'm like, I'm not trying out. You should be trying out for me. I'm not trying out for you. I tried out for all the things, and I got my bona fide. But then guys are taking people without a tryout, and I'm like, oh, you're not trying out? I'm not part of your team. So I said, who's in your class right now? And he said, this one, that one. And he's like, oh, I was talking about you because the guy was in the Navy. And the guy started shitting on SWCC. And I was like, oh, yeah, what was his job? And he was a rescue guy, a CSAR guy, a SAR swimmer. And I was like, okay, no big deal. What people just don't know what they don't. Maybe he tried out and washed out or got a bad gig. So he was sad. Fast forward, and I won't get too hard into this either, but know that who you decide to hang your hat with, you could end up with in combat. So you could be driving out of a country where they just killed the ambassador and half the country is trying to take your heads, and the guy driving your truck could be a SAR swimmer.
An MA. How about an MA on a ship?
Yeah. So, I mean, and some of those guys, and I will say this because I'm starting to sound like I can hear it. My ego is getting ahead of me.
I'm about to change your direction here in a minute. So go ahead, finish this thought, and I'm going to change your direction.
And they're better than I ever could be. I'm not saying that's not the case, but that's not the norm.
Nope. All right, Eric. So real quick, you're in Ireland right now, which I think is fucking awesome. I'm going to ask a stupid question. How often do you see another black person in Ireland where you live on this island?
Every time I look in the mirror. So at least 2-3 times a day. No.
Is that it?
Where I live, because I live way on the very west coast.
Okay.
And I live on an island. It's the biggest island off the west coast of Ireland. And it's connected by a land bridge, so we're lucky. But we are in the country, bro. I can't believe.
Okay, and you're with you're with your wife's family, correct?
Yep. So they're older. My parents on my side, they already passed. It's just something I want to give my kids, and they have benefited tremendously from it. And their culture, right? So they're speaking Irish. They're playing Irish instruments. They're playing Irish sports. They're all in. It's grim. I'm trying to, make up for a little bit of my selfish career and give them the life I want to give them. Good. And so my wife's here. She's able to help out. It's fantastic, really. And it's gorgeous.
What are you doing?
Garbage. When I go to the city, I will see Africans, not many. In big cities, yeah. Dublin, Cork, things like that. I'm in the country. So you're either coastal or you're farmland. I'm coastal. So I see out here rarely, every once in a while. There's a little light-skinned kid. I'm not sure what his mix is. I like to think he's maybe black or white, you know what I mean? But he has a job at the pool I go to swim because it's one of the few things I can still do to work around my injuries that don't hurt, that I can actually physically.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see him at the pool, I know he goes to the same school. There's another kid. I asked my daughter, but she don't really, she's 15. She ain't trying to talk about.
I got a 14-year-old. Nah. Yeah.
Yeah. She. If I ask her about, hey, is that kid black? Is it, it's over her head. They lived in Germany. They lived here. We lived in Northern Virginia. They know so little about actual black culture, but that side of my family. But so it's not. What do you? It's white. It's white.
It's white. I know you in Ireland, bro. What are you doing now for work? How's your life? What are you doing? I mean, shit, I'm going to tell you, I'll cut out what I need to cut out, but I'm just going to put this whole fucking thing up there because this shit turned into Sean Ryan podcast, which is fine. I don't give a fuck. I think there's a ton of great information, but what are you doing now? Are you still contracting any? Are you fucking totally retired?
I'm completely retired for the most part. Every once in a while, someone will reach out from my old life and ask for help here and there. And really, I just connect them or give them my thoughts. I don't have any drops. I'm not on SIPR or TS. I'm not doing any of that work anymore. I'm mostly stay-at-home dad for the most part, really. I spend a lot of time rehabbing and trying to figure out how my wife managed this while I work. I just don't understand how two people can do the family thing and prioritize the family with only two people. Youngest kid, dual sport. Second oldest kid, dual sport. Oldest kid, single sport and job and school and music. And that's just extracurricular. I don't know what we would be doing if I wasn't able to flex and cover and then helping out the parents and appointments. And, people say almost all the guys I know from the lifestyle are like, yeah, I want to move out and just move out and be away from everybody, move out to the country. I got that dream. I'm living it. But you are out. You know what I mean? It comes with the price of convenience. It comes with the price to your timeline. It's a half hour before I get to the bridge. to get off the island. Then I start my journey to the city. You know what I mean? And that city's got one movie theater.
Yeah. All right, brother. That's a banger, man. Hey, Eric, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. I mean, I was going to link up with you. I've been thinking about you since I saw you on the podcast. I'm like, I know that's that dude from the pool. I know it is. Because
that's fucking crazy, man.
There's only, you and me, at a certain time and place.
It's So that was it.
Yeah, super rad to connect. Yeah, love what you do.
All right, big dog. You need anything, let me know. So listen, when you hang on. Let me do this. Hang on. I need to record. I don't need to record no outro. This is fucking 2 hours, 3 hours long. Hang on. Let me just hit stop.